Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back, everyone, to Passions Podcast, the podcast where we talk about the soap opera Passions. I am your regular host, Latara, back today with our guest host, Eric and Maria.
Hey.
Welcome back. Welcome back. It hasn't been that long. It was just like a week and a half, like 2 weeks, I guess, since you've been on the show, right? So
Yeah.
good to see you. Good to have you back. Very excited. We're very excited to see you. How you feeling?
I'm good. I am excited. I am a little all over the place this weekend, but I always usually like to start off with like a joke or that kind of summarizes what we've seen, and I don't have anything that will beat this epic quotation that I will argue could be the title of the episode, which is, "I feel so bad for Pilar. I'll make her a tomato soup cake for Theresa's wake."
Oh my God. That? I wish I had a boo button. I need to get a boo button. Boo, boo,
No,
tomato.
I
Great.
think we need to add that to the soundboard.
We
I have it.
to.
I have it recorded, and I will send it your way.
I know.
just-
I'll make a tomato soup cake for Theresa's wake. Are you kidding me, lady? She sucks. Great.
Technically, remember, Theresa did say it was her favorite.
That is true. Yeah, I agree.
I'm not.
I agree.
I'm not engaging in that.
But
I'm
also,
not.
this was not feigned sadness. This was her legit thoughts. We were hearing her inner monologue, and that's
She's
what she
out of
was
her
thinking
mind.
about.
She's
what
out
she's
of her
thinking.
mind. Grace is such a piece of work, and I can't
Yeah.
stand her, to be honest. Okay.
So I couldn't have
Also,
written a
wanna
better
say
joke
how
than that.
excited I am to be on, and we now have Eric Martzoff as Ethan.
Yes, we've got second Ethan for the rest of the show. He's great. He's
Mhm.
handsome.
I'm a really big fan of this Ethan.
Yeah,
Yes.
he does a wonderful job with this idiot character, and
Yeah.
so
Oh yeah,
And he
Oh, we
spells his
got
name
words.
correctly.
yeah.
he spells his name
that's
correctly.
right.
Wait,
E-R-I-C. That is the
Yeah.
correct
oh,
way.
that's the correct way to spell Eric.
Yes.
Okay,
Eric with a C, not with a K.
not with
Yeah.
a K. Yeah, Eric with a K. I don't know, something about. And no offense to anybody whose name is Eric with a K, but something about Eric with a K feels very like, I don't know, Nazi-ish.
I was gonna go with Viking. I don't know. I get Viking vibes with it. I didn't get
that's
Nazi
better.
vibes.
That's probably better
That's
than the
funny.
Aryan Brotherhood.
You want to say it again and then just edit that out?
I just feel like that's an unnecessary K. I just
Yeah.
don't like unnecessary Ks. Okay.
And then deal with an E-R-I-C-K. There,
No, I
that's extra.
actually have a friend whose name is Erica, and her named after her dad, and her name is Ericka. So I don't
Yeah.
think she's in the Aryan Brotherhood, but I'm just saying it's weird. Have a K in there, just a K, just throwing random Ks around. I don't know. Anyway, before we get into the show, let's give a shout out to all our patrons over on Patreon. Thank you to Munashe, Brie Lynn, Lisa, Sid, Randall, Hannah, Camelia, Samantha, Jeanette, Eric, Fantasia, Sean S, Larissa, Maria, Lisa, Jessica Jean, Laura, Karen, Uche, Paige, Casey, Garrinch, Tom Bergeron, Daisy, Shane, Kelly, Taylor Harris Crane, and DJ. Thank you all for being patrons and hanging out here with me and hanging in there with me. It's great. If anybody out there wants to become a patron, go over to patreon.com, patreon.com/passions podcast and become a patron at any tier to join the Discord, hang out with us on some watch parties. It's been a little hectic right now because of the holidays, but I'm going to try and get a couple in this month. So hang in there with me. All right. Yes. All right. Y'all ready to move on?
Ready.
Yep.
All right. Okay. We talked about episodes 766 through 770, and we're going to pick up and start with poor Theresa. Poor Theresa,
What you gonna do? Things look bad for you. Hey, what you gonna do?
Yeah, things ain't looking so good. My girl is strapped to the gurney, and they have started administering the death chemicals to her.
And you know what? To the bitter end, she's still delusional and thinks
Oh my god.
she will be saved. To the bitter end.
It was hard to watch. Like
Yeah, it's a, yeah.
she's strapped down. She's going, I know you'd never let me die, Ethan, in her head, thinking, I know you'd never let me die, but why aren't you doing something? And then it hits her. It clicks with her. She says, what if he's not gonna save me? What if I really am gonna die? And then she starts to beg for her life out loud, right? Help, Chief Bennett, Louise,
everybody,
Mama, help! I don't want to die. Please, I don't want to die.
I like this inner thought. I like this inner thought of, oh, you're gonna rescue me at the last second, aren't you, Ethan? I do love dramatic endings. Why aren't you doing something? And then
as long as they're happy, though. She likes dramatic endings. As long as they're happy.
Yeah, my thing with this is like, girl, once you're strapped to the table, I don't know why she thinks that that Ethan could confess and all of a sudden they would stop everything.
Yeah.
Because that would not happen, right? They've already tried, other people have already tried confessing to the murder, right?
Yeah.
And it didn't change anything. So there's really nothing Ethan could have done at this point. Truly. There's nothing he could have done. Even if he did confess, it wouldn't have changed the fact that you confessed and have been convicted and have been sentenced to be executed. It doesn't change anything.
And the whole reason you even did this is because you didn't want him to confess. So why are you begging for him to confess now?
Well,
it's just crazy that it
doesn't want to die. It's like that how your body, no matter what, you're gonna fight for your life, right?
Yeah.
So it's like that last little bit of humanity in her trying to stay alive.
Yeah, it's just crazy it took this long for reality to sink in.
Yeah.
This is.
Yeah, I think it was just finally it was clicking for her. It just took her way too long for it to click.
But do you think now that it clicked that he's not gonna save you, you still thinking he did it, he's not gonna save you, you think she's gonna stop loving him?
Well, she did.
Never.
I know she did.
Oh, well, death.
In heaven, do you think she's still gonna say, Ethan, there's still a chance?
I think so.
We'll be together.
I mean, maybe now she's got forever. She's got eternity to pine after Ethan at this point. So the drugs. So at this point, the drugs have put her to sleep, but her subconscious is still like screaming out, saying, "I don't want to die. I can't die for something I didn't do." Yeah. Everybody is standing in this like viewing room, grappling with what's happening to Theresa, right? So we kind of flash from person to person and see their reactions to it. Whitney's is like heartbreaking. She, that's my best friend. And I didn't write down everybody's little thing.
I wrote down between Rebecca and Ivy.
Yeah, I did some
because
too.
I thought it was actually really good. So Rebecca's like, we both knew Theresa would accept what. We both knew that Theresa would come to accept this reality. What really amazes me is how long she's held on to this belief that something is going to save her. And Ivy's like, I just want it over. Because you can tell Ivy is visibly upset about watching her plan come to fruition. And Rebecca's like, yeah, I'm kind of feeling squeamish, which is the first you've ever seen Rebecca show any kind of like, not even remorse, but like any reaction that isn't, oh my God, this is great. And Ivy's like, no, it's not that. It's just, I just watching this and listening to Pilar as her child slips away. Like, now you care about Pilar?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
That kind of bothered me. I'm like, all of a sudden, now you care about the Pilar's feelings?
Mm-hmm. There was a couple of times when Ivy said certain things that I was like, oh, it's too late. Like, I can't feel bad for you, I can't absolve you of this because you have done something this is a truly heinous crime. A truly, truly heinous crime. And you feeling a little guilty doesn't make me feel any better about it with you, right?
You showed up early and took front row seats.
Yeah. But yeah, everybody's like having their moments, right? And so Ivy and Rebecca are having their little conversation. Grace, this is when Grace says the thing about but it's in her mind. She thinks to herself, I just wish there was something I could do to ease Pilar's pain. I know. I'll make a tomato soup cake for Theresa's wake. Girl, go to hell. And it's like, ugh.
I laughed so hard. It was horrible.
That was horrible. Whitney's was particularly heartbreaking though. She says in her mind, I'm losing Theresa and I can't lose Chad too. I'm sorry, Simone. I love you and I don't want to hurt you, but I need Chad. I can't deny it any longer. I love him and I want to be with him. It has taken losing Theresa to make me realize that love is too important to let it go. So
Theresa's only been saying that from the beginning of the series.
Yeah, but I did appreciate that Whitney, even though she's having this like horrible experience watching her best friend die, that she at least realizes like, man, I can't lose somebody else, right? Like,
yeah.
I love Chad, and I did appreciate that it forced her to come to terms with her feelings for Chad. I did.
Yeah.
I hate that it took this.
Yeah.
I hate that it took this, but I thought that was really important that came up. So
did anyone else feel annoyed by what Father Lonigan was thinking?
I want to know.
I'm always annoyed by what Father Lonigan is thinking. That's just a standing, running thing on this show. He sucks. He's so useless and pointless. Yeah, what was he thinking? Go for it.
Go for it, Maria. Yeah.
God, forgive me for the anger I feel toward Ethan, but I don't understand how he can let this happen. How could he let Theresa die for a murder he committed? Or was Theresa mistaken? Could be that Ethan didn't kill Julian. Has she sacrificed her life for nothing? But dude, you could have said something.
Yeah, he could have said something.
You know, I have been arguing over the man of the cloth thing, but this is like, she's gonna die.
Yeah.
And you're not gonna say anything.
And even though you might not go to the authorities, you could have pulled Ethan aside and said, hey, look, this is what Theresa told me. To just Ethan.
Yeah.
Notice that Theresa did not say, did she call out for Father Lonigan's help?
Absolutely not.
No, because then that would have given Father Lonigan the permission he needed to say something.
No, she didn't. But he didn't do it.
But yes, I agree. I would have said something a long time ago.
He never.
Or talk to Ethan. Ethan, don't you have something you need to say? Like, pull him aside and be like, Ethan, this has gone too far. We know what you did. I know what you did.
Yeah.
And Ethan still would have been too like clueless and stupid to even figure. What do you mean, Father Lonigan?
Yeah.
Again, I don't understand what you're trying to say. Theresa said you killed Ethan. I mean that you killed Julian. But I don't get it, Father Lonigan. What do you mean?
What do those words mean, Kill?
What
He
do
should have
those
asked.
words mean?
He should have asked the new Ethan.
Yeah.
That's true. Maybe that's why every time Teresa's screaming for Ethan, he's like, "Who's Ethan?"
Yeah, I don't see him
That's
in
the other
here.
guy.
Oh, well.
That's the other guy.
No. Theresa is drifting off, and she starts to mumble, "I did this for you, Ethan. I did this for you." Well, Pilar and Luis notice she's trying to say something, and they ask like the guard, like, "What is she saying?" And he's like, listens in. He's like, "Nothing." Ah, boo! Tomato, tomato, tomato.
Boo. But isn't it interesting that every time she was like screaming out or something about how she was gonna get saved, like they both kept looking at each other like, this girl's crazy. It makes you wonder, like, should we be putting someone who's mentally ill to death?
They do it all
she's
the time.
clearly touched.
Yeah.
They do it all the time. This is America. We do it all the time. Our penal system is not great. So Theresa dies. They kill her. She's dead.
Flatlines.
Yeah. Done. Is over.
It's Eve's ultimate sedative.
Oh my god. Wait a minute.
If you want a sedative or something to quiet your nerves.
Oh, good God. This is not funny. Okay, so...
We're making a lot of it because you know what? I will say, as much as I'm not a big fan of Theresa, it really did, like, pull at my heartstrings listening to her, like, plead and beg and scream for her life. I mean, even I was feeling bad for her.
Yeah. The execution was heart-wrenching. I think the only reason I'm able to kind of make light of it is because in a few moments, we're going to talk about how Theresa basically comes back to life.
Well, yeah.
Chases Ivy and Rebecca around.
Or does she?
She's like a ghost, I guess. She's haunting them. So they're making it campy, and so I can kind of make light of it because I know that, and I also know that Teresa's not dead, right? Like,
oh yeah,
we'll see her.
You know,
she'll be back. She'll be back. So Theresa flatlines. The warden says, by the authority granted to me by the state, I hereby pronounce Theresa Crane dead. Ivy and Rebecca have a conversation with each other, and I think this is kind of is tacks onto what you were talking about earlier, Maria, because during that conversation, Ivy like rolls away from Rebecca saying, leave me alone, Rebecca. I don't want to talk to you about this. And so Ivy is having like this crisis of conscience a little too late. And Rebecca comes over to her and says, come on, Ivy. We have to do something to try to enjoy this evening. After everything we did to make this happen, we have to do something to try and enjoy this evening. Ivy says, shut up, Rebecca. Just shut up. I told you to get away from me. Okay. Yeah. All right. She's angry. She's upset. She's feeling something. And Rebecca says, I know what you're worried about. You're worried about the battle ahead, the battle to see which one of us gets to be the one and only real Mrs. Julian Crane. And you're afraid I'm going to win, aren't you? And Ivy's like, are you crazy? I'm not afraid of you, Rebecca. I'm just saying, now Theresa is dead and I'm not sure that we did the right thing. Like, she's like, I'm not worried about being Mrs. Julian Crane at this moment. I'm actually I'm actually having real feelings. Maybe she's sobering up.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what's going on. Go ahead, Eric.
Well, and they have several conversations. That's the kind of like one of the last ones. But they do say like she looks. Ivy is visibly upset. She's just like she's struggling with it, and she says at some point she's like, "We just watched a human being be put to sleep like a dog." To which Rebecca's like, "You mean like a bitch?"
Yeah, that was fucked up.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
that was fucked up. Oh God, Rebecca is hanging.
Yeah.
And the fact that Ivy let herself be like hooked in by this heinous bitch, I mean, birds of a feather, I guess. But now Ivy is having regrets. Yeah. But it's too late. The deed is done and you did it happily, honestly, gleefully, truthfully. Yeah. And so Ivy says, I'm not sure we did the right thing. Look at Ethan. He's devastated. He's heartbroken. Yeah. What did you think was going to happen? Yeah. He has said to you so many times that he loved this girl. He's in love with her. Hell, even if he wasn't super in love with her, it would be pretty upsetting. Yeah. It's upsetting to watch somebody that you care about die. Yeah. Exactly. For something that you know they didn't do. Right? And so...
Yeah, or suspects, yeah. Yeah. Because she confessed to it even...
But he says, what I'm saying is everybody else, Ethan, Pilar, Luis, Whitney, they all know. They're like, she did not do this. We know she didn't do this. Theresa would never do this. We know. I know. So he feels very firmly that she did not do this. Yeah. That would be a horrible thing to watch. Even if it was somebody you just kind of knew, right? Whenever I hear about death row cases and they come up on the news where there's been this new evidence, but they can't get a stay of execution, I get really sad. I don't even know these people. Yeah. I don't even know these people. I get really sad to think like you have been on death row for a crime that you possibly didn't commit, and you're gonna die for something that you didn't do. It's horrible. It's horrible. So anyway, the fact that Ivy's like, oh, Ethan's so devastated. He's heartbroken. Yeah, bitch. What did you think was going to happen? What? Yeah. And so Rebecca's like, no, well, yeah, sure, of course. But in time, he'll get over it and he'll get together with Gwen and it'll be fine. And she tells Ivy, you're going to have to get over it too, which I agree. Girls, build a bridge and get over it. You've done what you've done. I actually, there's some times that Rebecca says some things to Ivy where I was like, yeah, I'm loath to say it, but I agree with Rebecca. There was one point where, Ivy says something along the lines of like this, I don't know if we did the right thing again. And Ivy says, well, we did what we did. Yep. You did what you did. It's done. It's over. So now
it's what you guys wanted. It was the whole point. It was the other plot besides just throwing the woman down the stairs to kill her. So,
and I'm of the mind that, okay, you did it. Now what? So if you're feeling bad about it, then are you going to go and confess? You can either confess or get the fuck over it. That's how I would feel if I was Rebecca, do one thing or the other, but we're not going to go back and forth on was it the right thing? Was it not the right thing? Obviously it wasn't the right thing. Obviously, it wasn't right. God, Ivy, come on. I don't know if we did the right thing. What do you mean you don't know if you did the right thing? It's obviously wrong.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you wouldn't be trying to hide it.
Yeah.
She's
And she did kind of get over it quickly because she's like, well, now that that's done, I can go back to try to get Sam back. So she got over it kind of quick.
To be fair to Ivy, that was just poor writing. To be fair to Ivy, they were just trying to remind us what Ivy's whole thing is.
Yeah.
Like, they did that for somebody else too, and I was like, okay, yeah, reminding us of what their whole like other thing outside of Theresa is. But anyway, or just like reminding us of things that have happened in the past. So anyway, moving on. Theresa's dead, y'all. It's real sad. The warden invites the family in to view the body, but all of Harmony comes in. Like, the family can now view the body.
Yeah.
And TC comes in the room. Like, everybody goes
In Harmony, we all fam.
in the club, we all fam. In the club, we are all family. Are you racist?
Yeah.
Okay. So, anyway, that's a TikTok sound from Broad City, if you were wondering what the reference was. Moving on. Everybody goes in to view Theresa's body, and Whitney grabs her hand and gets spooked because she feels it like grab her hand, but the like medical professional who's there was like, oh, it's just a muscle spasm, that's normal. And then the warden comes in and asks like, where should we send the body for the burial? And Louise is like, oh, send it to Benson Brothers Funeral Home. And then Alistair comes in,
and I think this is the first time we actually see like a full body shot, even though it's from the back of Alistair, where you actually see the back of his head.
Yeah,
It's not the first. It's very rare because
Yeah. So, Alistair comes in and he says, Warden, you will not send Theresa's body to that cut-rate funeral home. Theresa was a Crane, my son's widow. She will be treated with the same respect afforded any other Crane. Have her body delivered to the Crane mansion where she will lie in state. What?
That's bull. That's so weird.
This pissed me off. He's a
It makes
psychopath.
no sense.
He's
Yeah.
a psychopath. Like, he just had her murdered
Yeah.
on purpose. Knows for a fact that she did not do this. Had her murdered, and now wants to torture her family further by making them come to his mansion to view her body and holding her body captive.
This
writing's hostage.
This writing makes it sound like he just wants like a sick trophy. Like
Yeah.
No, that's what it seems to be. He's sick. He's sick. And Louise,
Yay.
my baby Louise says, wait a minute, you wanted Theresa executed and now you want her body at the Crane mansion? Alistair says, that's right. And Louise just goes, you bastard. And he like rushes him and tries to choke him out. It was amazing.
Good.
I loved it. Everybody's trying to pull Louise off of Julian, but they can't pull him off. He says, I can't kill Julian, but I sure as hell can kill you. Oh, good job, Louise. But eventually they pull him off. And Alistair says, I understand your anger, Louise, but you have no choice in the matter because Theresa is a Crane. She married Julian, and legally we have every right to take care of her funeral arrangements. I don't know if this is actually Julian
that doesn't track for me.
Julian would be her next of kin, but Alistair would not be her next of kin.
Yeah.
Julian would be her next of kin, then, and after that would be her mother or her child, which it can't be her child because her child's not 18. So after that, it's her mother. So, and of course, Ethan. So, okay. Alistair says, you have no choice in the matter. Legally, she's a Crane. And Louise says, well, we'll sue you. And he says to Louise, oh, good luck doing that. Ask Ethan about it. He knows that you'll have no help, be able to sue me and get nowhere with that, right? And Ethan's like, yep, legally, Alistair's right. I don't think that's correct. We'll have to tap in. We'll have to tap Karen in here legally.
Karen on that, yeah.
But I don't think that's correct. I don't think Alistair is her next of kin. I believe that it would have been Julian, but once Julian was dead, it reverts back to her mother. Those people are not her blood relatives.
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense.
No.
It doesn't make any sense.
But then again, I mean, Trump did put his ex-wife on his golf course.
What does that mean?
Her family.
Say that again.
I'm saying Trump did bury his ex-wife on his golf course, and it's his ex-wife.
Do you think he watched Passions?
Did her family say you could do that?
Obviously, I mean, I don't know.
And maybe he was legally still her next of kin. I don't know. I don't know what their setup is.
Yeah,
that's also weird. I didn't know that. But
you didn't know that?
No, girl, I do not keep up with Donald Trump. I don't care about that man even a little bit.
No, I totally get it. It was just one of those weird stories because a lot of people are saying he did it for the tax write-offs. Because now he's a crook. Yeah.
Listen, Theresa's a crane. She's going to lie in state at the Crane Mansion. I'm just saying.
That was perfect. That was perfect.
Get me a martini.
So, anyway, they have no legal recourse apparently, and so then everyone immediately goes and puts on their funeral clothes and go wait at the Crane Mansion for Theresa's wake. They're gonna have her wake today. Like, an execution and a wake in one day is crazy. Take some time, breathe. My God.
Grace hauled ass to Albertsons to go get everything she needs. Oh wait, no, she also said it's all in stock already at the house.
Yeah. Oh, she always has everything she needs on hand to make a tomato soup cake. She'll whip one of those up in like 40
She hauled ass back to the Bennett house.
So, I didn't see a cake. Did she bring the cake?
No, I'm just.
It would have been hilarious if she had.
Yeah.
I kind of wish they had managed to get her a cake.
Just walking in with a cake.
So stupid. And so they all gather back at the Crane Mansion.
Wait! Unless you're planning to cover it during Magic. Zombie
That's
Charity
true.
and her breaking of fourth wall.
Yeah, that was interesting.
You can do it. I didn't write it down.
Oh.
It was so weird. It's just like so passionate.
Funny and weird and passions. Like when she actually first got there, though, all of a sudden she could read minds, which was weird.
Yeah.
Now
Well,
you can hear.
She talks about Beth.
She
talks about how she's like, I know you're psycho. Like, she basically is like, I know that you're not fooling anybody. Like, she basically calls Beth psychotic. And she wacko in waiting. Yeah. Wacko in waiting is what she called her.
Wacko.
Yeah.
And Beth does have some like weird. They're writing it to remind us that Sheridan is alive, but it makes her seem so crazier than what she really is, because she's just like, and if Sheridan ever were to come back, it's like, no, she's not. She's dead. According to us, she's dead. But the writing makes her sound so paranoid.
It does.
Yeah. But then, like, after everyone leaves, you see, like, Zombie Charity, like, looking around. And then she comes up to the body. And then she looks directly at the camera, breaking fourth wall. She's like, oh, I told you Julian wouldn't be back by the execution. And I was right, wasn't I? And only going to get better around here. Incredibly, things are going to happen. Kay doesn't think I'm going to be able to make love to Miguel, but I have a little vial, Charity's essence. I am right when I said Theresa wouldn't be saved, wasn't I? So, hey, nighty-night. And then she goes to touch the body. Ooh, chilly. And she runs off.
Yeah, I didn't write it down. I had no intention of talking about it.
I thought it was cute because I like when Passion does these little funny things.
It is.
Yeah.
This is what we do.
Yeah, it was weird because to me, I was like, why are we doing this? Because truly, it went from like extremely like sobering moment of like everybody leaving because all the Harmony citizens left. And then it was just Pilar, Miguel, and Luis saying their goodbyes. I think the reason I didn't write it down too is because I was fucking sobbing. Like I'm about to cry thinking about it now. Like I was in absolute tears watching them say goodbye to her. And like, it was so sad.
Yeah.
It was so sad. And like, I don't know. Anyway, if you know why I'm like so.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, no, we know. And
Pilar's
I think
reaction.
Pilar's was really bad. And maybe this is their way of sort of like breaking that tension a little bit and bringing levity back into the levity. Scene.
Yeah. I get that, but she came out and I was just like, ugh.
Well, and rightfully so, right? Like I wrote down, you know, like there's just so many moments where a zombie charity's still trying to bang, and it's like you're,
Yeah.
I mean, you truly are an evil being because it's like Miguel's not focused on that right now whatsoever.
And I'm just so sick of her, and it's so stupid. My thing is, if you really do want to try and like have sex with Miguel, I get that you're like raring to go and you're just like this agent of chaos or whatever, but you're just not good at scheming.
Yeah.
You're obviously
No.
not good at scheming because why would he want to fuck you right now?
Yeah. Kay basically is us saying that. Like Kay's like, you're stupid.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
she keeps he's pushing you away because you're dumb. Like
Yeah. And actually, since we brought it up, let's talk about it a little bit right now. Throughout this whole thing
Yeah.
in Theresa's like wake and stuff, Zombie Charity shows up after Miguel had told her to leave last week. Y'all weren't here for that, but he had told her to leave. Like, I don't want you here for this. You know, you've
Oh, wow.
been through too much. He was like, you've already been.
Oh,
through
got it.
Basically.
Yeah.
But she comes back in these episodes and is like, of course I'm gonna be here for you. But in these episodes, he notices something's off about her. He says as much. He's like, something is weird about her. I'm not. I don't know what it is, but something's just off about her. And so throughout the whole like execution scenes, that zombie just tries to get close to him, and he just kind of blows her off like a lot. He's like, I want to be with my mom. I want to be with my mom.
Yeah.
I want to be with my brother. So we'll talk about it more in the magic, but yeah, that was some of the things that were going on during like Theresa's execution that we didn't talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, y'all ready to go to the mansion?
Yes.
Yes.
So everyone gathers at the mansion for Theresa's wake, and Ivy and Rebecca meet with Alistair in the library, and he tells them he knows everything that they did. He knows all about the tape. He knows how they manipulated Theresa.
That was satisfying.
It was.
Like-
It was to an extent. It was
Yes.
to an extent.
I just like seeing them a little uncomfortable. Some that someone else knows, and of all people, Alistair knows. But of course, like he would know. But
Yeah,
Alistair's
and
a
I
bad
feel
person.
vindicated for us because we keep saying, how does Alistair not know? They keep talking about it in the mansion.
yeah,
Alistair knows everything. Anything. I feel like anything, especially that happens in the mansion, you have to assume he knows that happened. You have to, because he clearly has everything bugged and like under surveillance. But yes, he tells them, I know everything. They, of course, are like, what are you talking about? We don't, what tape? What tape? And then he says, he tells them, well, you forgot one thing. Where's the tape? Where is the tape?
Another thing we kept asking about. So
Yeah.
this show is obviously went into the future and listened to our podcast.
Yeah, they're answering the questions. They're answering the questions that they knew would come up. Like, they're logical questions. Where is the tape? Of course, I'm sure back then there were people on the forums like, where the fuck's the tape?
Yeah.
Exactly.
And so then Ivy says to Rebecca, I thought you had it. And Rebecca's like, I thought you had it. Oh my God, these two.
You know, and I just
Freaking
it makes me so happy because I would always just be like, "Ooh, Rebecca!" Like it was one of my favorite things that Kim as an actress does for Ivy. It's like, "Ooh, Rebecca!" She always has that "ooh" in front, and it happens so much in these episodes.
You got to put that also on the soundboard. Another thing.
Rebecca.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, cut to, so they're like, they are trying to figure out where the tape is. And then we see Pilar changing the baby. And the tape is in the changing table, like with the diapers. Pilar,
Which I'm confused about.
That's
How the
it. Me
hell-
too.
Yeah.
Yes.
How?
I wrote that down, and then I was like, this has to clearly be Alistair fucking with the girls, like messing with the lady.
That's true. That's the only reason.
Yeah, okay. So I was confused about this too. I was like,
I had another theory also.
what? Yeah, there's a couple of ways the tape could have gotten there, I guess. Because the first way I'm thinking, okay, Theresa, that's where she hid it. It's a bad hiding place. So I would just destroy it. Why do you even still have it?
Yeah, or it's the belongings from Harmony Jail or whatever got sent over to the mansion.
Well, how
After
did it get in the how would it have gotten?
Maybe one of the maids just put it away. But what a weird desk
like diapers.
In the diapers, yeah.
Yeah, I think the only person who puts it in the diapers is either Theresa or Alistair / somebody who Alistair told to put it there, right?
Yeah.
Because later on, Alistair's like, "I'll give you ladies a hint. It's somewhere in the mansion."
So he knows.
He knows.
He knows.
So
I think it was Alistair.
And he says you're not going to get there in time.
Yeah, I think he planted it there.
Yeah.
But where has it been all this time? Like, did Alistair have it lifted from like the evidence room or something?
I would think so.
I'm thinking because she goes to the jail to confess. She's taking it immediately. She is released for the day. That must have been when they've given her back her belongings.
Oh.
And remember, she wakes up in the bed and they splashed it all over the newspaper. So by then she could have hid it, but she hadn't had the baby yet. So granted, she would have prepared for the baby ahead of time, even though she was going to jail, even though she didn't think she was going to jail. I don't remember seeing a bassinet for her to have put it in with the diapers, if there was even a bassinet yet, because she had yet to give birth.
Yeah.
But,
So
Passions is...
for me, it has to be Alistair.
Yeah.
Passions is just lazy. I mean, in the years past, they used to definitely track shit like this and be like, just so you know, viewer, this is where this thing is. Like, they would do at least that. Now they're just
bird
like...
statue. Remember the bird?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Oh my God. They tracked that bird statue all over the place. We always knew where it was.
Yeah.
And we all know that any incriminating evidence is going to be properly labeled Julian and Ethan.
Oh,
Yeah.
God. Okay. So Pilar finds this tape immediately. She sees it. She says, "Julian and Ethan, what is this?" Pops it in the VCR immediately, right? And starts to play it. Then the baby starts to cry, so she doesn't watch the video. She goes and gets the baby and, like, soothes the baby. Meanwhile, Ivy and Rebecca are like racing up there because they figured out, it must be in Theresa's room. Of course, like that would be the first place you check. So they race up there, and what happens?
The same shit that Passions does all the time. We're gonna stall. Pilar put it in. She pressed play. The baby's crying. Now the phone's ringing. The girls are like, "How do we get in there? What do we do?" And then what's the go-to now is to push Ivy out of her chair. Like that's.
I wrote Rebecca yeeted Ivy.
It's ridiculous. We have to stop doing this.
They do it to her all the time.
I'm starting to get like, okay, this is a little rough.
It's one thing when Ivy does it, because it's like, okay, you do it. But now you got Rebecca literally pushing someone in a wheelchair.
I think it's the second time she knocked Rebecca knocked Ivy over on purpose.
Possibly.
Yeah, she definitely pinched her at one point and like
made
her have like real bad pain. Yeah, she's just like happily abusing Ivy. But yeah, she knocks her over out of her wheelchair, and Ivy starts screaming. So that makes Pilar run out. And she doesn't watch the tape. Rebecca runs into the room to try to get the tape, and she's like, it was so stupid. She's like hitting the buttons on the VCR, but she can't like get the tape out. She's like, I can't.
It made me think of like, I had a VCR that it just wouldn't eject clearly all the time, so we just had a butter knife next to the VCR, so that way we could stick it under it and it would pop out better. But then that's also just making me think like, this is totally late 90s. Late 90s, early 2000s.
You know that VCR still had 12 on it.
Oh, yeah.
She couldn't program that thing.
Yeah.
For the right time. No.
I also could see my mom struggling to eject the tape. She's like, "Ay, qué cosas, porque no?" Yeah, I could have seen her doing it.
Yeah, so she couldn't get the tape out. So we thought.
Yeah, and it was on that screen for way too long. Like, it was just so long. Yeah. I thought at one point when she was changing the diaper that the video was going to show with Pilar distracted, and they never even did that. Yeah.
No. So, then Pilar gets Ivy back in her chair with some help from Rebecca. She's like calling to Rebecca. She's like, "Rebecca, I can't do this by myself. Where are you?" And so Rebecca comes back out. They put Ivy back into her chair. And then they go back into the bedroom where the baby's crying. Pilar goes in, they follow her in. And then they were just about to see what's on the tape. and then Gone with the Wind plays, because Rebecca did get the tape out and she did switch out the tape with Gone with the Wind. I don't know where was the tape?
They freaking cock-a-doodie thing again, like I said last time, because when Ivy looks at her when she got summoned back by Pilar to put the chair upright, Rebecca looks at Ivy and is like, I couldn't get it. And then, unless she lied and was just trying to like be like, I'm a badass, but she basically, and where did she bring the Gone with the Wind tape? Because they didn't leave with the Gone with the Wind tape. And you know what? I know Rebecca's breastises can fit anything, because I saw a lot come out of those things.
Lying along the VCR, because we tend to just leave the tapes next to the VCR, so it could have been one of those. Yeah. And Timmy said it was one of her favorite movies, so it's not hard to believe she had it right there.
Yeah. To quote Goldie from Charm School, the nooks and crannies of her titties. There's a lot in Rebecca's arsenal.
Now there's a podcast.
Listen, I love that. I thought the chicken was lovely.
We have to do like a podcast of love and do all those.
Oh, that is great.
Shows. That would be hilarious. I feel like I don't have the time, but anyway. Yeah. But I feel like it would be funny. Although I feel like it would be easier to do that because we could just watch one episode at a time, right? Versus like Passion's watching 5 episodes for one episode of the podcast. Jesus Christ! And I'm only doing that because we're trying to get through it a little bit. If we did one episode at a time,
oh my God, we'll still be in.
I was
1999.
Still episode 300. Like I don't know. If we were only doing one at a time, my God.
And it would be short podcast episodes because there's only so much you can say. That's
so much
just
repetition.
Repeat of what. Yeah.
Well, when we first started, we were doing one episode at a time, and the podcast was like 20 minutes. Yeah. So anyway. So moving on, let's talk about what's going on downstairs. Theresa's wake is going on. A mortician shows up with Theresa's body, says that he prepared it to Alistair's specifications, and that Alistair requested they have a open casket wake. So they open up the casket. I was worried. I was like, my heart started to thump. I was like, if he did anything weird to her body, I'm going to be so upset. I'm going to turn this off. Like, truly, I was like, if he did anything, if he told that mortician to, like, make her look like a clown or something, I'm turning this off. But he didn't. Theresa looked fine. She didn't look gorgeous, but she looked beautiful. Normal. And meanwhile, this happens. Gwen is trying to comfort Ethan, who's upset because he feels like he could have done something to save Theresa. He's like, I don't know what, but
constantly torturing himself.
I feel like there was something I should have done to save her. Gwen is trying to comfort him. She thinks in her head, well, now that Theresa is dead, I'm gonna get Ethan back. That's where her mind is at, and that's fine. Sam and Louise have a nice little conversation where they contemplate what was Alistair's part in the whole thing. Louise posits that he believes that Alistair was the one that had Theresa executed, but he knows that, but he also wonders, was he the one who had manipulated her into confessing? So he's wondering like where that came in. How did that happen? So these two are, quote, thinking of investigating that. They're not going to get anywhere with it, obviously, because they never get anywhere with any investigation because they are very bad at their jobs. So Alistair gives Ivy and Rebecca... Oh, I'm past that. Sorry. Okay. So after all of that, everybody's doing like the wake thing. Pilar calls downstairs and tells Louise, hey, I'm going to stay here with the baby tonight. Which, where would you have... You were going to just leave the baby in the mansion, or...
Yeah, like Theresa would not want nannies watching her kids. Like, she would want the baby to be with the family. Also, you could just take the baby with you, even though Alistair probably wouldn't let her, but she could have taken him back to the house.
What jurisdiction does Alistair have? What jurisdiction does Alistair have over the baby? Okay, couple of things.
He seems to have jurisdiction over everything. But do the Lopez Fitzgeralds even have their home yet?
They don't have a home.
They don't. So
they're all at the
Pilar's staying at the B&B.
Yeah. Miguel was staying at the Bennett's.
Miguel's staying at the Bennett's. I don't know where Louise is staying, but Theresa was at the mansion. So, yeah. Sorry. She calls down. She says, I'm going to stay here at the mansion with the baby. It's like, yeah, Okay. Again, I think she should have just taken the baby with her, but I think because they had like a nursery set up for the baby, it does make sense for her to stay there with the baby, whatever. And she tells them like everybody should go home. This is over.
This easily, writing wise, could have been solved if Alistair's like, that child is a crane. They could have easily had that, but I don't know if they don't.
Which I think he probably would have pulled that card and say, no, that's the next crane heir, and he's not leaving.
He could go to hell. Listen. At this, for me, and I know his passion, so we let them get away with a lot, and we let like the idea of like the crane influence is so big and so vast. On this day, though, when Theresa has been executed and she just literally had a baby yesterday, okay? The baby is a newborn baby, right? Alistair and Pilar are both grandparents. Neither one of them have more jurisdiction over this baby than the other, period. Yeah. They're both just grandparents. It would be one thing if he was the father, but he's not the father. Yeah. He's a grandfather, and a bad one at that. So, and I think most courts would accept, obviously, the sway of the cranes. He can do whatever he wants in this town, I know. But if you really think about it logically, you're going to send it with the grandmother who raised the daughter, clearly loves the baby. I don't know. Anyway.
I would have sent little Ethan to Mexico. That's what I would have done.
And honestly, Pilar might do that too. Let's be real. She did it to Paloma. Was the last time we saw her.
And they did mention Paloma back at the execution. So when she was like, thank God Paloma's not here to see this.
Yeah.
How long we see Paloma at all?
Paloma probably would have been grateful if y'all had called her and told her.
Yeah.
Does Paloma even know?
That's what I wonder about her big brother also. How do they not know what's going on over there?
Antonio doesn't know. Yeah. But the reason Antonio doesn't know, what doesn't Antonio know?
I would think that this is news all over the world. The Cranes are the richest, powerful family in the whole world, basically. Now we are led to believe that would be.
Mm-hmm. Well, but again, we did find out that she married Julian, right?
Yes,
and she was a crane.
There was a newspaper article with this headline in Bermuda. He didn't see it though because Diana spilled coffee on it. Of course,
the best waitress on the island.
Yeah, yeah. He has no clue what's going on. God, poor Pilar, because he's about to be in this stupid accident. Oh God, poor Pilar. Okay,
she doesn't know about it, so
yeah. What she doesn't know can't hurt her, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
So after Ivy and Rebecca thwart the whole videotape, Pilar seeing the videotape, they go downstairs to have champagne and celebrate their success. But Ivy again is like feeling guilty, saying that she doesn't know if they did the right thing. And Rebecca says, well, we did what we did. And then she says, one Mrs. Crane down, one to go. And this is when Pilar comes in and she goes, you bitch. This was great. Yeah. I loved it. Thank you, Pilar. Pilar gives such a great performance. The actress, Ava.
She's so good.
I had to write that one down because it was so good.
She says, get away from my daughter. You take joy from my daughter's death? Well, I will not rest until I take all the joy out of your life. Damn you to hell, Rebecca. If I ever find out that you had anything to do with what happened to my Theresa, if I learn that you somehow manipulated my daughter to confess to Julian's murder, caused her execution, I will hunt you down, Rebecca, and I will kill you like the sewer rat you are. Oh, okay. Yeah. And then she says, she turns to Ivy. She turns her ire towards Ivy and she says, and you, Ivy, if it comes out that somehow you were involved, I will do the same to you. Now I'm going to go outside and get some air and try to calm down. And when I come back, I want the two of you the hell out of this living room and away from my daughter. Do you understand me?
It was so good.
It was so good. It was so good.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, she, and I get it. I was like, get rich. Yeah. Yeah, get away from my daughter. Get away from her casket.
Yeah, doing it like feet away from her body.
That's exactly
it's
right.
Disgusting.
Like
It's disgusting.
drinking
Take it
champagne.
upstairs. Take it upstairs.
Drinking champagne. It's just
Yeah.
sick. Just sick. These people are sick. Well, Pilar leaves, goes outside, trying to calm down. Then these two freaking frack are like, oh man, Pilar's really upset. And then Theresa's
No, she's
body-
like, there's that notorious Latin temper on display.
ugh.
Really?
No. Really? That's honestly, it's one of the kinder things she said about.
That is true. That is true.
How many times she called her like La Cucaracha or
Yeah.
little Taco Bell or God.
And it was warranted, that temper that she had against them.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, she's lucky she didn't get slapped again. She's lucky
Mhm.
she didn't get slapped again, truly. So this is the point when Theresa wakes up. Her vengeful body, her vengeful form comes up
It was a little
out of the casket. It was great. I
It
loved
was
it.
creepy.
I loved
Yeah.
it. She popped out of the casket and she yells at Ivy and Rebecca saying, I'm here to take you to hell with me. And she says, I know what you did. I know you set me up with a fake tape. And yeah, she says she's going to take them to hell. And they're like, no, we're hallucinating. We're hallucinating. This isn't real. And Theresa says, oh, I'm real. And I'm dead. I am dead, but I'm real too. And I've come back to make you pay. And then they kind of look away from her. And when they look back, she's laid back down. Like it seems like it didn't really happen.
Yeah.
They're trying to figure out what it is. I think Rebecca says it's just our imagination. It's just our guilty conscience. And this was funny. Ivy says it's obviously our guilty conscience, and Rebecca says, "Speak for yourself. I don't feel guilty about anything." Theresa was no innocent. Because Ivy says we had an innocent girl put to death, and Rebecca says Theresa was no innocent. She was a lying, manipulative witch who did everything in her power to make Ethan love her. And then she hired a lawyer who did everything in his power to take the name of Mrs. Julian Crane away from us. And then Ivy's like, well, she did drive us to take drastic measures. It's like, girl, come on. I thought you were growing a conscience.
No.
But then Theresa pops back up and she says, I might not be innocent, but I am no murderer like the two of you. I'm taking you both to hell. And then she leaps out of the casket. It was fantastic. It was fantastic. She leaps out of that coffin and like starts chasing the ladies, and they flee screaming.
Yeah. They're screaming.
Yeah. It was hysterical.
It was very
funny
satisfying.
and weird. And it's like, is Passion trying to tell us that they're having group delusions, or is she
What is
really
it? Yeah.
alive? Because when they would go back and look at the casket, she was lying down again. So it was really bizarre, but funny.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's unexplained. They have not
Yeah.
explained it, and I feel like this is one of those things that they are not going to explain. Because the only thing that I can think is that Zombie Charity is doing it, but she's busy off doing her own thing, right?
Yeah.
So
True.
I don't, and we know Tabitha's not doing it. So I,
And I was really upset because this would have been a great opportunity during the execution for Zombie Charity to mention the plan. To say like, oh, I made Theresa believe to follow this route because this was my ultimate goal, was to get her executed or something like that. That would have at least made Zombie Charity credible in the fact that she can get someone to die.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
they didn't even do that.
They didn't, and you're right. That would have been they could have very easily kind of linked Theresa's death to that plan, that whole evil charity plan. They really could have easily done that, but they didn't. So.
So yeah,
she's
Zombie
still-
Charity,
she's
useless
still-
as ever.
Yeah, she's still batting zero this one.
Still bad zero.
Still batting zero this one. She's
Alistair is better at this than she is.
Alistair's a pro. Alistair puts her to shame. Alistair's like, in his mind, he's like killed all his kids. Like
It would
he
be
doesn't care.
diabolical if he had the powers.
Oh,
It would be
God
diabolical.
forbid. Oh my, no. He has enough power as it is, just with money.
You don't
And I
even
feel like
need them.
I feel like that's such a good and maybe I'm sure Passions didn't necessarily mean to do this, but when I look at it and think about it, um they're almost telling us that money is the most powerful magic of all.
Yeah.
Right? Like
Yeah.
money is the most powerful thing you could have in the universe, right? Because Alistair gets what he wants every single time. Every single
And
time.
that money is evil because it's usually evil stuff that happens with it.
Yeah, and he uses, and the way he gets his way is through money. That's basically it. And because they'll say money and power and influence, but he has power and influence because of how much money he has, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, these two are screaming through the house. Rebecca, they stop at one point to kind of catch their breath. And Rebecca says, "This cannot be happening. Dead people do not just come to life." And Ivy responds, "Rebecca, haven't you noticed what's been going on in Harmony the past few years? I mean, first there was a plague of birds, and then there was a comet hurtling towards Harmony that almost destroyed the town." I forgot about the comet. I forgot about that. I forgot about that. I was so glad she mentioned it, because I was like, oh shit, I forgot about that. And then she says, and then Sam and Grace's house being sucked into the ground, and Sam and Ethan and practically every other man in town battling demons. You know, when you think about it, a dead person coming back to life is hardly even extraordinary.
Yeah.
I mean,
and in soap opera trope, people come back from the dead all the time. Just look at Sheridan.
Oh yeah. Yeah, look at Sheridan. Look at Sheridan.
Look at Sheridan.
Again, this is where they're freaking out, and Rebecca takes a little flask from her crevices, to which Ivy's like, "Don't you usually you still run around with two of those, don't you?" And she's like, "Ah," and she pulls out another one, and they
Right out of her
swing together, which I thought was so good. It was so funny.
They start
And
guzzling
Theresa
down
sneaks
the booze.
upon them again while they're drinking too.
Yeah, they're
And there's,
guzzling down the
classic
booze.
spit take.
Yeah, Theresa appears and she says, "Where you going, ladies? We were just getting started. The party's just getting started, girls." And she says, "You're ready for your free ride to hell?" And then they start screaming, "Ah!" and run off again. And then Pilar hears, and she's like trying to put the baby down, but of course the screaming wakes the baby up. So she comes out to see what the hell is going on. At this point, Teresa's like chased them outside of the house, and so she goes outside. And she's like, "What the hell is going on?" And then Ivy at first seems like she's ready to confess. But I don't think she ever was about to confess. I don't. Rebecca, they make it seem like Rebecca is the one that stopped her, but I don't think Ivy was ever gonna be like, "Girl, we were the ones that did it to Theresa." Like, that was not about to happen.
No.
But she says, "Oh, I feel terrible. I feel so horrible." And then she finally says, "I feel terrible and horrible about what happened to Theresa. And if there's anything I can do at all for you, just let me know." And she says, I think this was really important. She says, "I know that we haven't been friends for some time now, but we used to be good friends, and my heart breaks for you. I don't know what I'd do if I lost one of my children." Oh, one of your children. I'm glad. Usually she says, "I don't know what I would do if I lost Ethan."
Yeah, she was like...
She actually said something about the other three. All right, Ivy. Pilar responds to her saying, "And this is how you show your sympathy, running around drunk, screaming."
I thought that was so much, because Ivy's like, "Oh, I guess I did have a little too much," but it's, yeah.
Yeah, she says, "Oh, maybe I shouldn't be mixing liquor with my pain medications." It's like, yeah, girl, they warn about that. It's right there on the label.
Yeah.
And so Pilar goes back inside, and they worry that she's gonna see Theresa walking around. And that Teresa's like ghost is gonna tell her the truth. That's pretty much it for them. We need to talk about Ethan and Gwen and what's going on with Ethan and Gwen.
Well, first of all, I guess
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, since we're gonna be going to Sheridan's cottage really quickly, like, we're there because Ethan says he's gonna stay at Sheridan's cottage. Why is that a thing that he can now stay wherever he wants on the Crane Mansion? Alistair made it perfectly clear, you are not a Crane.
Yeah.
So that was a little weird. And when they brought in Theresa's body, they're asking him what to do with it. I'm like, who is he? Alistair specifically said, "You are not my grandchild. You're not a Crane."
Yeah.
But he's not calling all the shots at the mansion. So
it's sloppy. It's sloppy writing by passions. It really is. And so, yeah, I agree. Especially with the Crane Cottage thing. It's like, why are you allowed to just sleep at the cottage? They kicked you out of here. So
Yeah.
let's rewind and go back and say what we're talking about. So we're moving on to Ethan and Gwen and what's going on with them. During the wake, they talk a little bit. Ethan's been kind of beating himself up. He's upset, understandably so.
Yeah.
And up until this point, Gwen is being very incredible throughout this whole process. Up
very
until this
incredible
point.
is a
Supporting.
very
She's
very
Up until
incredible
this
is a
point.
very incredible is a reach. I feel like very incredible is a lot to say.
Well, no, I
Saying that
thought
he's
she-
devastated is also I've been finding as a reach, because at least maybe it's because of Eric's acting. I'm not saying
I
he's
didn't say he was
devastated. I'm
devastated.
saying
I
him.
think he said
I'm
he
not
was
saying you.
devastated.
I'm saying the other characters. Oh, Ethan's so devastated. He's sad, but he don't look devastated.
That's
I've
what they
seen
wrote.
Devastated was when Travis found out that everyone was lying to him and he had that meltdown at the hospital. That's devastation. Okay, that's devastation.
Wait a minute.
Eric, as Ethan, has not shown any close to inkling to that level of devastation.
It's because
No.
he hardly knows her.
He just met her that day.
He just met her like two
No.
days.
Oh my god. First of all, I love you bringing up Travis's or Ethan's meltdown at the hospital because that was hilarious to me.
Yeah, it was huge. Way
Really?
to go, Maria.
But I actually felt for him in that moment.
Oh well,
No, that's what I'm saying.
I did feel for him, but like, well, maybe I'm thinking about the moment when he was like in his room and he was like throwing around his trophies because he found that glove
I
in
was
the grave.
talking
That's
about
the
in
part
the
I was thinking about.
hospital where he ran off and he started banging and it was set that everyone's lying to him, and it was a really great performance.
Yeah.
I think Travis was really happy to finally have like good meat and good scene to work with instead of being the whole okay, Theresa, whatever you want to do, let's do it.
I actually will agree with you, Maria. I was actually gonna say it right before you said it, but you said it before me. That Ethan does not seem that upset. He's not upset enough, in my opinion.
Exactly.
And I'm not saying that that's not what the character of Ethan is feeling. I think he is devastated. They wrote that, so I imagine that's what it is.
That's why everyone else has to say it on his behalf. 'Cause
But it
they're
definitely
probably
does.
telling Eric, you gotta like act out more on this.
Because it definitely does feel like he just met her.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm sorry, Theresa. Sorry.
Yeah, that kind of sucks.
Yeah. Like he's just not there yet. So anyway, so after Theresa's wake, Ethan and Gwen decide to go back to Sheridan's cottage because Ethan says that's where he's going to stay tonight. Gwen makes them some iced tea and says it's all she can find in the cupboard.
I found that weird that one, they criticized the fact that it's powdered iced tea. They've never had it before. Okay, you guys are that rich, you always have it freshly made. But Sheridan had it in her house apparently. So where did it come from? If someone was like, or was this a scene that I missed that between Sheridan and Luis where she made him powdered iced tea, or that he made it for her and she's like, oh my God, this is the best thing ever. I'm going to always drink this stuff.
For some reason, it's the only thing in the cupboard. There's no reason. We've never heard of this before. For some reason, it was the only thing she could find in there. I don't know why there's anything in there, considering no one lives there, right? Anyway, that's what she found in there. I think what he criticizes is that it's not that it's powdered iced tea. I think it's that she hands him the iced tea and is like something to warm your soul or something to warm you up. And he's like, iced tea? Like it's supposed to warm me up. And she's like, it's just the only thing I could find in the cupboard. And so then they sit down to like drink this tea by the fireplace, which she makes a joke about like the fire's going in July, and Ethan said,
a roaring fire in July.
Theresa loved to sit by the fire. You know, there was this one time he starts to kind of like reminisce about.
She's like, did I put enough sugar in your tea? He's like, yeah, it's fine.
She cuts him off. He's trying to reminisce about Theresa a little bit. She cuts him off. And then he goes back to kind of talking about, I wish that I could have done more for Theresa. And then Gwen just starts to go the fuck off.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was crazy.
She says, Ethan, stop it. Just stop it. Please. I am sick and tired of you torturing yourself over Theresa. She doesn't deserve it. And then Ethan's like, Gwen, what's wrong? And she says, I'll tell you what's wrong. You keep torturing yourself. You did everything anybody could have done to save Theresa, but she didn't want to be saved, Ethan. You did so much more than that lying, manipulative bitch deserved. Whoa.
That's why,
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, she ain't wrong. But that's from my perspective. I'm like, she ain't wrong. Ethan did do everything. She kept denying his help, and she's kind of brought it on herself, even despite all the opportunities she could have done to not have this happen to her. Yeah. And he's here torturing himself.
And I agree to an extent that, okay, she's not wrong. Okay, what she said was true from certain perspectives.
Yeah, no, I get it. But I do criticize that this is not time and place, girl.
There it is.
That's right.
That's my part.
Fucking room.
That's where I'm at. It's like,
it literally is one of those points where you're like, too soon.
Yeah, calm the fuck down. But also, it's like, you can be right, but you don't have to say that. You can say things in different ways, right? The way she packaged this was horrible. Yeah. And sure, maybe Ethan, I agree with her on the point that Ethan did everything he could have done to try and save Theresa. I 100% agree. And I agree that he shouldn't necessarily be beating himself up about it. However, I do also understand you're grieving, you're grappling with this. I'm going to let you work through it the way you need to work through it. Maybe I will say my opinion, like, it's nice for her to say, hey, you did everything you could have done. Mm-hmm. And, you know, there's nothing more you could have done. Take the time you need. But to be like, Ethan, get over it. She deserved you. She didn't deserve not right. You.
No. Well, that's why
Luis gets a whole year to get over Sheridan's death.
Yeah.
And no one bothers him and tells him, get over it already. She dead. No.
Hank was about 3 weeks after. 3 weeks after Hank was like, you need to get over this.
well, that's Hank. Yeah. Because Hank wants a relationship with Louis. That's why.
Yeah.
That's why I was saying that up until this point, I thought Gwen was doing a really good job of like being like supportive, like the baby, all of that stuff. She had been. I was like, dang, she is totally like she's doing exactly what she needs to be doing to get into back with Ethan and stay in the good graces. But then this was just that first little like, well, let's change the subject. Anytime somebody passes away, whether you like the person or not, you're gonna play this retrospective of like how did things, I mean, and yes, he was basically her lawyer, like he's basically doing all that stuff, so of course he's going to be like reliving all, it's fresh
for her.
Yeah, and she just died.
He was going to marry her. I mean,
and I understand you wanting to take care of your person and being like, you can't blame yourself. Like, that's another thing too. But people, when they're in mourning, they don't want to hear that right now. They are playing every scenario out in their head. So when she jumped from that to that, I was like, this is crazy. Like,
and it was the way she was saying it. It's like, okay, you can say something to someone, but you don't have to berate them. She listen, she goes on. She goes, let me say what happens next. She says,
oh, I have the whole script. I'm reading it with you.
You want to say it?
You want to play Gwen or you want to play Ethan?
Well, Ethan doesn't really say anything. I kind of cut Ethan stuff out. Ethan says to her, why are you so angry at someone who is dead?
I'll play Edna. Oh, that's later. Sorry. Go ahead. Keep going.
No, you have to. You have to do Edna later. Okay. Ethan says, why are you so angry at someone who's dead? And Gwen says, I am
sick and tired of Theresa getting all of your affection, all of your love. She was a lying, manipulative bitch and doesn't deserve it. I'm sorry, Ethan. And then, like, she kind of, I guess, caught herself that she's, like, being so someone that is dead. And it's true. Like, you won. She dead. So calm the fuck down. He's not gonna move on that quickly. So then she does apologize. She's like, I'm sorry, Ethan. I didn't mean to lose my temper. I just hate seeing Theresa cause so much pain, even from the grave. And then Ethan's like, it doesn't mean I'm wrong thinking I didn't do enough. And it's also true. Like, she did just die. You're gonna have... That's when you get to feel all of the regrets that you could have, should have, would have in that moment, because there's such finality with someone's death that you can't fix anything. So you, like Latara was saying, you're gonna replay everything and maybe what you could have done and stuff. And Gwen needed to respect that.
Yeah, This was, you know what, respect is the exact word. This was so incredibly disrespectful. And it was not only was it disrespectful to Theresa, and it's like, okay, you don't like Theresa and you don't give a fuck about her, so you don't care about disrespecting her or her memory, but it was incredibly disrespectful to Ethan, who is a person that you care and love. Care about and love. It was incredibly disrespectful. It was incredibly insensitive. I mean, it goes beyond insensitive because she goes on. She's not done. She goes on. She says, "No, Theresa was lucky to have you, and she was lucky to have you for the time that she had, and she was a total liar and a total fake. She didn't deserve you. When are you going to understand that even after Theresa slept with Julian and was having his baby, you never stopped loving her. You slept with me and we got back together and you still helped her escape. You put her whole life on the line. You put your whole life on the line, our future on the line." Like, she goes on, is berating him about all of these things. Truly, it became a personal attack on Ethan. It wasn't even about Theresa at that point.
Yeah. And it's okay to have all those feelings all pent up. That's exactly what was happening. Wrong time, wrong place. Look, that's exactly just what it is. Yeah.
She should have excused herself. If she felt herself feeling like that, she should have said, "Ethan, I'm going to give you some time. I'll be back in the morning."
Her Hotchkiss was showing. Her Hotchkiss was showing. I mean, that was her Hotch. I mean, right? I mean,
I do understand that she has these frustrations. I want to be clear. I understand why Gwen is frustrated with Ethan. I do. I understand where these feelings are coming from. I do not, for the life of me, understand handling it this way. I don't.
No, she definitely was not delicate. And then at that point, she's asking him to make a decision. Can you forget about Theresa? She dead. Does it matter? Why are you even asking?
Because she says,
it's like, can you completely cut off her ghost and commit to me and our love?
She says, "I'll be damned if I compete with a ghost." Yeah.
And it's like, you're not competing with a ghost yet. Right? Like, I could see if it was 6 months down the line and he's still doing this. She died today. And not only did she die, we watched her die. We watched her be put to death. I heard her screams as she fucking died.
How traumatic could that be? Let alone, I talk to lawyers, doctors all the time, and teachers. I mean, you bring your trauma with you home. And so this idea that even let's minimize everything and just say, basically, Ethan was her lawyer. She would have that guilt. But he was her former, they were together for a long time.
He kissed her yesterday. Let's be clear. He kissed Theresa 2 times on the day before her execution, passionately.
He did admit that he did that because he didn't want her.
It doesn't matter why
he
die.
Did it. Well, but he said he didn't want her.
I go on. I'm just saying, I don't think it matters why he did it.
Well, he didn't want her to die. He knew she was gonna die, so he was just trying to grant her one last, little bit of hope that there's a future.
I'm pretending my water is tea right now.
Because when she was before she was on the table and she's talking about, "Oh, don't worry," she gave that speech, which I couldn't hear because the sound cut off. Oh yeah. So I don't know exactly, but there was a point when she was like, "Oh, and I'm gonna be with the love of my life," and Gwen turns to Ethan she still thinks you guys have a future, and he's like, "Yeah, well, I didn't want her to ruin it."
Right. That's what he said. That's what he said to Gwen. Here's what I'm saying: actions speak louder than words. That's what he said to Gwen. Of course, he's gonna say that to Gwen. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying what happened. Right?
He did say that to Gwen. Sure.
He does. Of course, that's what he said to Gwen. "Oh yeah, I don't have any." Except when he talks to Chad, he tells Chad, I love Theresa. I'm in love with Theresa. She just lied to me and I can't trust her. That man loves her. We're not gonna act like that doesn't.
I never denied that he didn't love her. He just wasn't gonna have a future with her.
No, that's
sort of what he led her to believe, because she was gonna die, so he didn't want to sort of ruin that for her.
He led Gwen to believe. He has led Gwen to believe a lot of things over the time.
He's led Theresa to believe a lot of things.
That's still my point.
Yeah.
I think the one point we can always agree on is that Ethan is pretty much always the problem. But Yes.
Yes, especially at this point, because Gwen at that point, again, wrong time, wrong place, not to have that conversation. But she then tries to remove herself, and he stops her. And instead, makes out with her.
Yeah. No.
So,
yeah. Mm-hmm. Go on. I'm agreeing. We're in agreement.
Yeah, like it wasn't the right time to have this whole fight, you know. Like maybe Gwen actually watches Passions on TV and sees what Brian and Diana is going through, and she didn't want to be the Brian, always, you know, thinking about the dead lover, and she's like, I'm not gonna be Brian, I'm be dealing with somebody and their dead lover, so let's just cut this off right now at the knees.
Yeah.
And I'm out, because I'm not gonna fight with a ghost. And he pulls her back, and he's like, no, don't go. He kisses her, they make out, and he, you know, and then they go off to do, as what Eric would say, the hotch kiss and the Winthrop.
Sheridan's bed. They go off to have sex in a ghost's bed. Yeah. Like,
I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, the whole thing was weird. I wrote this, so I wrote that whole thing that she says, I'll be damned if I'm gonna compete with a ghost. All we ever do is talk about Theresa, which, of course, all you ever do is talk about Theresa. You truly just got back together, right? And you got back together in the midst of this like crazy situation with Theresa, right? So again, I actually have to give Ethan a little bit of a pass on that. It's like, you inserted yourself where I am in the middle of dealing with this whole Theresa mess. You
mourning a relationship, mourning a person. So it's like two different, yeah.
You put Gwen, and I said this a few weeks back, Gwen, once Theresa was basically kind of out of the picture and Ethan had like stopped seeing each other, everything came out. Gwen did exactly what Theresa had done before, which is made herself available to Ethan, right? Yeah. She's just going to be where Ethan is, and eventually he's going to come around and be with her, right? And that's what happened. That's what happened both times, because Ethan is pliable, let's say. Yeah. He's movable. Yeah. And so she, Gwen, this really just burns my biscuits a little bit with the whole, like, all we do is talk about Theresa. Well, you inserted yourself in a situation that was about Theresa. Like, this whole situation was about
She wanted
Theresa.
to be there for Ethan. They, you know, like, they're together, and she wants to comfort him. And like I said, it was just too soon, girl.
Exactly, because you can't be upset that we're talking about Theresa on the day of her death.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I mean, I want to say, oh my God, it's been months, because in Passion's time, this has been going on for, like, in real time all month. Passion time's 2 days. But I think sometimes, like, they try to merge that storyline so they make it seem like it's been months. But yeah, she's in the center of everything that's happening. So, and he's trying to help her, and she's been doing all kinds of, like, being Mrs. Julian Crane, confessing to a murder. Like, the storyline has been about Theresa. So yeah, that's all they're going to talk about is Theresa.
And her body is just a few feet away from the...
Exactly.
It's still her warm. Body's still warm. It's
still
just
warm,
like,
and running around right now. Like, if anything, they should be worried that she's not going to show up and start staring at them.
Yeah. So
she says she's not going to compete with a ghost, good, because she's running around real fast right now.
Yeah. You don't want to compete with that ghost. She's vengeful.
Oh God, yeah,
So
yeah.
Get your baseball bat.
Ethan does tell her, he's like, I don't want you to go. I want you here. I want you with me. And that's when he swoops her up and
he
takes her to the room.
He kisses her and carries her off to Sheridan's bedroom.
Yeah.
And they have sex, presumably there in Sheridan's bed, and
it's passions. They make love.
Yeah, it's time to make love.
That phrase bums me out unless it's between meat or meat and pizza. Meat lovers pizza. Anyway, so let's talk about Chad and Whitney real quick. There's not a whole lot to talk about. Whitney's devastated, of course. Like, I felt for her. I can't imagine.
She did a good job. The actress did a good job.
Yeah, I can't imagine losing my best friend. Of course, Chad is there to comfort her through the whole thing. Eventually, they go back to the recording studio, and
which looked like Harmony's abortion center.
It does.
So it must have gone out of business after its failed one attempt at an abortion.
They got photos. It's because it got in the press where it was. The Yelp reviews were bad.
Yeah.
So they go back to this recording studio / abortion clinic, and
Maybe it always did double duty.
We also, what if, okay, no.
It was in the same suit.
Oh God, so many. No, this is horrible. We're not doing this.
It just recorded baby songs, like songs about babies.
Stop it, Eric. I'm not doing this. Okay. So, we do get a reminder between Eve and Grace that, these two might be siblings.
Look at Eric.
I'm gonna turn you off. I'm going to turn Eric all the way off.
Hey, the fact that I'm quiet, I'm proud of myself right now.
I want to hear it.
No, so we do get a reminder that there is the incest storyline looming, right? Like, Grace has a conversation with Eve where Eve randomly talks about how she's so glad that Chad turned out not to be her son. But Zombie Charity, I think in that aside, that one fourth wall break, she says that
she seems oddly like invested in this now.
Yeah, and she basically says that they're siblings.
Elsewhere. This is why you can't get nothing done.
She basically says that they're siblings. Again, we're getting confirmation that Chad is Eve's son. I don't know when they rewrite this. I do not know when they rewrite this.
It's so hard to like. I'm always gonna root for Chad and Whitney, but you know what? I rooted for living life with Derek. I rooted for those.
They were not blood relatives. I rooted for them too. They had just met. They were
living life with Derek.
Life with Derek. I rooted for them.
But no, I'm always still gonna root for them. It's just like I have that. It's ingrained in us when we watched it the first time. It was just like we were rooting for Chad and Whitney. So it's like so hard to just sit there and
well, I also
grapple with the storyline.
Just to go ahead and spoil, this is like one of those things I think we've already kind of spoiled. Chad isn't Eve's son. Like they rewrite that, but they explicitly say it this time, and Alistair said it. I will never forget that. So they have said that Eve is.
But can we trust the zombie? She's incompetent.
True. She's a nincompoop.
We don't know what's going on with Theresa right now. And Zombie Charity was very clear that she thinks Theresa's dead. There's a point where she goes.
She said that she wouldn't be executed.
That's why I'm
not that she's dead.
She is like,
I think maybe
chilly.
they did wordplay there.
She's like admiring the dead body at the Crane Mansion. There's a moment where she's like at the casket, like really happy. So
like
that was
this, like
admiring this evil thing that happened.
Here's what I'm gonna say, and I don't want this spoiled for me. I don't remember how Theresa comes back. I don't remember what any of this was. I know it had to do with Alistair, I think.
I do. I won't say.
That's why we were having that conversation before we got on camera, was because I wanted to clarify, and I think I remember now based off of that conversation. But I'm okay with not knowing fully. I understand that, and I'm happy
very
for
much
the listeners
looking
to be
forward
like,
to it. I have some conjecture. I have an idea based on what I know about soap operas and other deaths in soap operas, but I do not remember what happened to Theresa.
I think I do, and we can talk about it afterwards.
Yeah,
Maria.
Well, next week. I think we're recording next week, so we can talk about it next week.
I like when certain things kind of surprise me.
It is fun. Yeah, it is fun to like. I'm telling you, when I saw Timmy in that Dorothy costume, I didn't remember that at all, and so that was like,
me neither.
Cute, cute, nice little cherry on top. Anyway,
so let's finish talking about Chad and Whitney. I'm sorry, I got off on a tangent. We were back to Theresa. No, Chad and Whitney. These two, they might be siblings. Just keep that in mind. And Whitney finally confesses her love, outright confesses her love to him, says Simone's gonna have to get over it and she'll be fine.
Which talk about a way to honor Theresa's memory.
Oh my God, why is everybody fucking? It's ridiculous.
Oh, I was actually being sweet. I thought I was.
Oh, I'm sorry. I hate this trope. This is not the first time I've seen this before, that somebody dies is really emotional.
Yeah.
And multiple people go off and have sex with each other because it's you only live
the day.
once. Yeah. Now is the time to seize the day. Now is the time to seize the sex, I guess.
Nope.
Yeah. Seize the D.
Yeah, seize the D.
But yes, I was just happy that Whitney finally let go and was like, I love you. I cannot picture my life without you.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. She does say that, you know, this is something that Theresa would have wanted. She, you know, she wanted us to be together, yada, yada, yada. They make love.
They make love.
They get some blum blum.
In a recording studio. Like, go talk to Charity and Miguel and get a nice hotel.
I think he lives there. So I think it's like his home. I think it's like his apartment. I think
I remember him living there.
Recording studio.
Okay.
I'm gonna give it a pass.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, if he's living there, fine. I thought it was just like they're in the studio, and it's like, let's just, you know, there's this.
And we'll record it. We'll have a track of it later.
Yeah, so they do the do. They do the deed.
And this is her first time. They don't really address when virgins are like together for the first time.
For some reason,
they didn't really touch on it with Theresa either.
Yeah,
it was her wedding day was more of the emphasis than it's her first time ever.
They talked about it more so than they did for this. They definitely. Ethan was very like, "Are you sure? Like, I want everything to be. I want you to feel comfortable. I want you to feel special. Da da da." And we
didn't do it that time.
They did it on the beach.
On the beach, but did they talk about that? Because I'm sure they talked about it.
Well, they had been talking about it. You know what I mean?
Well, they talked about it because it was the idea of keeping Theresa a virgin for her wedding because of the Catholicism behind all of it.
Yeah.
Like that's where it was like, are you sure? But it was like, yeah, it's the day of, let's do this. So
we might as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they make a huge deal about Charity's virginity.
That's life threatening. I mean, that's
life threatening.
Yeah, it's world altering.
Apparently Miguel's
it's
too.
World altering her virginity. Yeah. But I agree with you actually that I'm actually a little annoyed that now that I think about it, that they don't make as much of a big deal about it being Whitney's like first time. They don't even talk about it. They don't even talk about it.
Like they don't mention that it's her first time, but we all know it's her first time because she's never been with anyone else.
Yeah, and so anyway, they do it. She loves it. She says it was wonderful, but then she immediately starts to feel guilty, saying, "Actually, this is horrible. I can't believe what I just did to my own sister."
Oh yeah.
And then she says, and also the timing after Theresa's death, I just feel bad. Like, what am I doing? I shouldn't be doing this right after my friend died, which I understand, like feeling that kind of guilt. But Chad makes her feel better, and then they have more sex.
Yeah. It's kind of weird that she's like, oh, and I've taken Chad away from Simone, and he's like, Simone never had me. No one's had me.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, I'm not anybody's.
Yeah.
You know, but yours at this point. And yeah. Elsewhere, Simone. Oh my God. First of all, where was Simone through all of this? Right?
Simone and Pumbaa, 1.5. Lion King, 1.5. She's out there running around.
So yeah, she's
obviously she didn't care about Theresa.
She's on her bed and Eve comes home and is like, "Hey honey, we've been looking for you everywhere." No, you have not. You didn't even you have not even thought about that girl. You just saw her and was like, "Oh, that's right. I have another daughter. Hey, where you been, girl?" Like, yeah. We've been looking for you everywhere.
Well, then again, where's Jessica?
Was Jessica there? Because last week Uche swore she saw Jessica at the execution, but I didn't remember seeing her there.
I've never.
I don't think I saw Jessica. Kay was there.
Kay was
Miguel, but I don't think I saw the other kids.
Yeah, I didn't see Jessica, but Uche swore she was there, and I was like, I mean, she could have been. There were so many people. It was crowded. There were so many people in that room, and the room was so tiny.
It was all of Harmony.
Yeah, truly. And but anyway, Eve happens upon her daughter. It's like, what's wrong? Are you okay? Because she's like crying. She's like, how could a sister do something like this to another sister? Of course, at first you think, oh, she knows about Whitney and Chad, and then she's upset about Whitney and Chad. But no, she's saying she feels guilty for fighting with Whitney, considering all that Whitney was going through as far as, you know, Theresa and everything. And Eve asks her like what they were fighting about, and she's like, it doesn't matter. I shouldn't have been fighting with her. So Eve doesn't know. Yeah. So
and this is you. I'm happy you clarified this, because I'm like, at some point, Eve should have sat her down and been like, honey, you do know that they are together, right? But if she doesn't know, then I can give her a pass. But I don't know how Eve is. I don't know how she doesn't. Well, now I do know how she doesn't know what's going on with her daughter. She doesn't care.
How did she not know what's going on with her daughters?
If you want a sedative or something to quiet your nerves.
She's on drugs. She's carrying around sedatives. She keeps herself in a stupor. So
we need to get TC so he can come talk to his sugar bear.
Oh, please. This just would give TC another thing to hate Chad for. Like he has such a hard on for like beating up Chad. He wants wants another reason to hate Chad because actually during the like after the execution and everything, Whitney was really, really, really upset, and she like runs off. That's how Chad and her ended up like away from everybody anyway. She runs off, and TC wants to go after her. And Eve is like, no, let Chad do it. She needs to talk to somebody her own age. Actually, she needs to talk to a therapist. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
What do you mean she needs to talk to somebody her own age? Your daughter is grief stricken. All of you need to go follow her. All of you need to be following her. Truly. Like, but that's how they ended up off alone together. And now she's a young girl off making big girl decisions out of grief. I'm just saying. I'm not saying, I know we all love Chad and Whitney together, but I don't know if this was what was the best way to lose your virginity on the day that your best friend dies. I don't know.
Her best friend would have completely co-signed on it.
Yeah, and she was a crazy person. So
lovable lunatic.
You're gonna connect those things for the rest of your life, I don't want to talk about losing virginity, but I know losing mine. No, truly.
I don't know if you want this on the internet.
Who cares? We all do it.
So what? Who cares?
Who cares? We all do it. No. When I think back on mine, I'm like, oh God, I can't believe I did that. Like, I can't believe it. I'm disgusted.
Wow.
So anyway, I'm not gonna go into the gory details, but anyway.
You said glory details.
Okay, moving on. Whatever. Simone runs off to try to make amends with her sister. Of course, that's where we ended with them. I don't know. I don't remember how long we do this whole back and forth with Simone and Whitney and Chad, but it goes on for a long time, I remember. And it was very frustrating. Yeah? Am I correct?
Does it even go into the new actor? Like, does it go on that long?
I honestly think it does.
I think it does.
Oh my God.
Because we're losing Dawn soon, I'm pretty sure.
Really?
I'm sad about that.
I'm pretty sure.
Oh.
Yeah. So anyway, let's now talk about magic. I'm going to let y'all kind of take this one over because I did not take the best notes. I did not take the best notes, especially in especially in the zombie stuff. I did not.
I got you here. Let's see here. We have Timmy, who is grappling with this serpent because he is on the verge of finding the demon's horn. Julian, and he needs that to get rid of zombie Charity. Julian's like, let's get the heck out of here. Meanwhile, Timmy's like, no, like it's right here. I know I can get this. It ends up, I didn't know what they were fighting because again, didn't see last week, but I didn't know what it was. I was like,
could you just remind me how they ended up in a cage?
I saw last week and I didn't know. Let me tell y'all what happened last week. It was crazy.
I thought Reba McEntire was going to show up. I thought Timmy was fighting a tremor. I don't know if y'all remember that movie. It looked like a tremor.
Last week, they ended up in, they've been doing all these different movie references.
Yes.
Well, they ended up in Deliverance. So,
that explains that weird flashback. Okay, got it.
Yeah, they ended up in Deliverance. It was very weird. It's deeply uncomfortable, deeply unsettling. And that old dude trapped them in a cage and was gonna come back with his sons and rape them. So that.
Oh wow! Hello.
Wow.
Okay.
And no, it was. I'm telling you, it was deeply unsettling. It was.
Wow.
Horrible. I hated it. I'm so glad we gone on past that.
Wait, so Passion's doing this, and at the same time, you have Theresa walking down Dead Man Walking kind of style. Like
the Green Mile.
That's a weird that's just weird to have to navigate that emotionally,
it was a
with
weird
Passions.
week. It was a weird week. Yeah. real weird. Real weird. I can't say it. Anyway,
Okay.
yeah, he trapped him in the cage, and then to zombie Charity created like that tremor under the ground.
Got
and
it.
like
Okay.
yeah, and she sent that serpent to like kill them or whatever.
So that's where they're at.
Toto let them out of the cage. He got the key, and and they got the key and were able to get out of the cage, and that's how that brings you up to speed.
Yeah.
So go on with what happens.
Yeah, so he does finally get a hold of the demon's horn. That thing has gotten a hold of Timmy, and it does look like Timmy's finally,
the
gonna
grapploid.
die. Yes, there we go. Thank you. Yeah, that is the correct title for the tremor. And so Tabitha is losing her shit in the attic. She's freaking out, and it's funny because she hits the scroll like if you would hit an iPad because it's not working. I don't understand how magic works, but apparently
she forgot to pay the TV bill.
Exactly. She did not pay her magic bill, and the scroll is losing reception. And she's like, okay. She talks to the floating head. She's like, hey, I need help. What do I do? She's like, I don't know what to tell you. Timmy's in danger. Like, this is just what it is. And Tabitha, this is what we had theorized. This is what we have figured out, and we were correct, is that Tabitha does have some powers in there. There is something about her as a witch that she does have some reserve powers. And she's like, you know what? I bet you I can tap into this. And the head warns her. She's like, if you do this, it will deplete you. Like, you probably don't have very much left. And she's like, I don't care. That's my Timmy. And he's like, I'm shocked that you, Tabitha Lennox, care about a human boy. To which she says, that's my doll turned boy. I'm going to do whatever it takes to take care of him.
Timmy is not just a human. He's my doll-torn boy, and I love him, and I don't want to lose him.
She says, I will save Timmy, or I will die trying. Get rich or die trying.
And yeah. And so this is a lot for me because I promise you, because I did not see last week, there was a costume change. I know this costume that she's wearing right now. She will be in this costume for a lot of episodes to come. Okay. So we're gonna be here for a minute. And
God.
Yes, yeah. And I knew that minute I saw the thumbnail, I was freaking out because I was like, oh my goodness, this is crazy. But we have some time here. With that said, Tabitha musters up. She does a spell. I didn't write down the spell, but
I did.
Go for it. Have fun.
Oh, go ahead. You go for it. Let's talk.
Water everywhere. Guide my hands from here to there, through bogs and marshes, rivers and streams. Help me save the lad who screams. And then it worked.
She had a flashback. She was trying to she's like, I gotta know some spell. What have I done in the past? And they flash back to when she tried to drown Charity in the water bowl, which was fun to watch again.
Yeah, I was like, oh, that's right, evil Tabitha. I miss evil Tabitha.
I do too. But she has changed for the better. But
my God, Timmy and Tabitha singing for good, sobbing.
Yeah,
I'm sobbing because I knew you.
But she has changed, but she remembered some of her OG Tabitha evilness, and she reaches into the bowl and grabs the serpent by its tail.
I have to make a TikTok. I know I haven't been doing much, but I have to make a Timmy and Tabitha
I like that
for
you've
good
been inspired.
TikTok. Oh my God, that's so perfect.
Well,
oh my God, no one mourns the wicked. I have to make some because it's streaming. I mean, it's trending right now, and it is. I have to do wicked TikToks for this.
So
and hurry up before TikTok gets banned.
I know it's done. It's over in January, they say.
Well,
last minute.
I was looking at my TikTok. I was so sad thinking about it this morning because I was like,
maybe start downloading all of your content.
Yeah, I probably should go ahead and do that. I should do that and upload it other places. God. Anyway, going on.
No. Tabitha saves Timmy, and I love that Timmy knows that it's Tabitha because Julian's like, it's weird. It looks like this thing's being like pulled back, or like this thing is somebody's messing with this thing, and Timmy's like, it's Timmy's princess. I know that it's her, and Tabitha does take care of it. She also does another spell that will remove it, so it evaporates.
Now to dispatch the zombies would-be assassin, creations of evil sent from down under, vanished now amidst the lightning and thunder.
Yeah, and so boom, it is gone, and the head is like, "Awesome, cool, you did it." And Tabitha's like, "Yep, I knew I could." And Tabitha faints. It did take everything out of her to do that.
But she very
Yeah. But
quickly
the head
comes back.
did
Yeah.
then say that Timmy will still die.
Yes, and she's like, "Awesome, I did it." And the head's like, "No, I told you, Timmy will die, but he will die in harmony. So it's not until he comes back." They talked about the yellow brick road and that at the end of the road, it was going to happen.
He says the
Basically
yellow brick road is
implying
a
that-
symbol for Timmy's journey, and he's headed back to Harmony, and Harmony is the end of his journey and the end of his life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So with
Which is gonna
that,
be really sad.
Yeah.
we don't see too much of Tabitha anymore after that. It is more about Timmy and Julian. They're like, boom, now it's time to go back to Harmony. To which Julian's like, "I told you I can't go back to Harmony," until he sees on the TV, right, that Theresa has been executed. She is
But he doesn't say
officially-
Theresa yet. Like,
Yeah, no. He just says that she
his killer.
is dead. And so they're like, "We can go back." He's like, "How are we going to get back over there? We have no money." Timmy's like, "I've been budgeting," to which means that he's withheld some money, and Julian was not happy about that. But he's like, "I'm not ready to go back." And Timmy's like, "Yes, we are." Timmy basically six Toto on Julian, and goes running to the counter and asks for 3 tickets to Harmony, 2 people and 1 dog to Harmony. It is there when they're in this bus station. Again, Julian's like, "I can't take public transportation. Why are you talking? Don't say my name." That we see that Theresa is dead. That is when
Timmy
recognizes,
realizes,
yes, that Julian knew all along, and he's very upset by this.
and Julian's like, "You're right, Timmy, old boy. I have no shame. But now I shall return to Harmony and get back to my life. Very soon I'll be sitting in my own living room smoking a Cuban cigar and enjoying a sniffer of brandy. Won't everyone be surprised?"
Yeah.
And
Timmy.
he also...
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, he also says that he's like, "Of course I mourn the fact that Teresa's dead. She was a delectable woman, but it is time for me to go home and be with all of my money."
Timmy is
All his money.
disgusted. Timmy is truly like,
Oh, he's really upset.
Not only is he's disappointed in Julian, because I think he thought that they had kind of gotten closer, and that Julian was he's seen the good in Julian, right? Julian has saved him a few times when they were in the Wizard of Oz stuff. He saved him at least 2 times, right? So he's seen that Julian has some good in him and can be good. And I think he was really disappointed to realize, oh, Julian is still very bad. And then he was, on top of that, you could tell he's just disgusted with Julian. He was disgusted.
Well, because and again, like we had said, we know full well that Timmy probably would have done something to out Julian and let people in Harmony know that he's alive and not to kill Theresa. So he probably would have tried to do something about it. Julian at one point finally recognizes that he's lived a very privileged life, and it's not an epiphany. It really is just like, now I'm going to make sure I live it to the fullest.
I'm going to enjoy my privileges.
I'm going to enjoy my privileges even more, which is very funny. And while he falls asleep, the little angel adult appears to Timmy. Little angel girl shows up and is just like
useless.
I'm very upset. Latara's been saying it for years. I'm very upset. Like, she's like, "I'm here to warn Timmy that things are not going to go well in Harmony." It's like, tell him what is going to happen.
Yeah, like, could you elaborate a little bit? Like,
listen,
what's with the cryptic messages?
You got no one here on Earth helping good. You got one person out there doing it.
Yeah.
One person out there who's going to save Charity, which apparently the forces of goodness need this to happen. But you're not going to tell Timmy what's up. I love any kind of rule that was like, because he was made of an evil, and I mean, say something that is, you cannot do this. But no, she is useless.
Yeah,
little angel adult.
She is extremely useless. I think my thing with her too is, like, especially in like these kinds of situations where she literally shows up to him and says, "There's Harmony waiting for you in danger." Okay. And then she doesn't give him any other information. It's like, did you just come to ruin my day? Because I was in a really good mood. If you're not going to do anything to help me change it, then why fuck up my day? Right? Let me cross that bridge when I get to it without telling me that the bridge is going to be out. Like, you know.
And if it was anyone else in Harmony, they would have turned back around and just not gone back. But because it's Timmy and he's good and he loves Charity, he's gonna go back with that damn horn. So
yeah.
You know, now I know who's been giving Charity all her premonitions. Is this bitch?
Yeah.
Yeah, useless premonitions.
They're useless.
So useless.
Yeah, but that's pretty much where magic ends, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think.
Yeah,
there's
we already
anything
talked
else.
about Zombie Charity and Kay and all of that.
Well,
there is a little bit to talk about.
There is a little bit more to talk about there now that you reminded me because of my notes are scattered. Zombie Charity has been running around being like really still trying to bed Miguel. And Miguel's not into it. Kay's doing very good of being like just there for Miguel. Like, and she also is mourning Theresa. Like,
exactly.
At
That's
one
what I was
point,
gonna say.
Miguel.
I think Kay, the difference here, and I think what Miguel is kind of picking up on, besides the fact that Zombie Charity is not real Charity, is that Kay is actually grieving Theresa.
She grew up with Theresa.
We can actually see that she actually is. But even without her having grew up with Theresa, like Zombie Charity's not grieving Theresa. We're not seeing any sadness, remorsefulness as much from her. It really, you can see that she's just kind of going through the motions and saying the things that you're supposed to say to somebody. Versus, I think that what Miguel is picking up on is that she doesn't really feel these things that she's saying to him. Versus Kay, he can feel like the love from Kay, and so I think that's part of it. I don't know if I made that up in my own head canon or if Passions actually wrote it that way, but that's what it looked like to me. That's what it seemed like to me. That's why he was like, something's off about her. And it's because this is just not how Charity would be. I'm not getting this energy that I would be getting from Charity. You can feel that sometimes, you know, from people that like when they're faking the funk, when they're not being authentic with you. And I think he's really picking that up because grief is such a big feeling, and there's so much energy behind it, and you can feel when somebody's just kind of faking it. Okay. So
Well,
so
with
Zombie.
She's just she keeps doing this, and finally Miguel's like, I'm going home. Like I'm not doing any of this. Like I'm going home. I need to just be with my family. I want to be with my brother. I want to be with my mom. I don't want to be.
At one point, she's like. At one point after Theresa's execution, she's like, how about you and I just go somewhere, just the two of us? And he's like, no. No, I want to go be with my family. I don't want to I don't want to do that. And she's like, why? Again, that's what he's picking up on, because she's not a human. Because she's not a human, and she's not really experiencing the human emotions. Any other human would understand him saying like, no, I want to go be with my family.
Yeah.
She doesn't understand it because she's not human. She's a demon.
She's not human.
Yeah. So
well, with that said, they go on their own adventure. She goes to check on real Charity, and the cave is she's melting, and so we can see the water coming out of the cave, that the ice is melting.
Kay takes her to the cave. I didn't understand that for the life of me. Kay takes her to the cave. If I was Kay and I'm hoping that Charity gets out of here, first of all, I'm going to try and get her out of there. But if you're not going to do that, why bother bringing Zombie Charity over there to be like, hey, look, she's melting?
No, and Kay herself has said, like, she thinks the only person that can take out Zombie Charity is Charity. Yeah. So, like, why wouldn't she be like, stay away from, let me help her melt? But they're not giving Kay the writing she needs to be a three-dimensional character that would think wisely about all of this. Yeah. They do get into it, to the point where Zombie Charity loses her Charity form, and we see her full-on demon. Okay.
So.
Oh, the essence. Yeah.
Let's talk about this really, really quickly, and then we have to move on because this isn't that important. But Zombie Charity has made this essence of charity that if she once she opens it and splashes it on, then Miguel will not be able to resist her because she will seem like the real Charity, real deal Holyfield, right? She's been wearing it in a vial around her neck. Kay like tackles her at one point because Kay is like, last ditch effort to stop
Yes.
stop this lady from trying to kill her best friend. She tackles her. They're like wrestling on the ground. For whatever reason, Zombie Charity doesn't like zap her. She doesn't use magic. They just like wrestle. But in that wrestling, in that struggle, she loses the necklace and it's just like laying on the ground. Kay picks it up, finds, and is like, what is this? Is this what Zombie Charity was talking about the whole time? Because throughout these episodes, Zombie Charity kept saying to Kay, oh, you think I'm not going to be able to get him, but I've got a trick up my sleeve. I've got a little something. And then she'll just like pick up that vial and kind of hold it. And so I don't know what we're going to do with this, but Zombie has not realized that she doesn't have the essence of charity anymore. But Kay has it and doesn't know what it is. So now we can move on. Y'all got anything to add to that before we go to these other people?
No, I don't remember whatever happens either with it. So
Of course not.
it'll be interesting if she figures out that it's charities and Kay goes back to being evil and just decides, well, let me splash it on myself.
Oh, God.
To get
Come on, Kay.
Miguel.
Please don't do that. Oh, God. I hope she doesn't.
Try it again. She tried it with Hecuba's plan and it didn't work, so she could try it again.
To go back to what you said earlier, Maria, too soon. Let's not do that.
Seriously.
Too soon. Let's not do that.
Just a theory. I'm throwing it out because I don't remember.
I understand.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's that would be par for the course of Kay. Like that, she's tried that so many times, right? Like, of course she would be like, oh, maybe I'll try it. Maybe this time.
For the first time. Miguel won't hurry away.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go on. We're gonna go to Bermuda and talk about what's
This
going on.
should take 2 minutes.
It should, but it won't. Okay,
Oh, that's right, because you have a lot to say. Is this gonna also like include like what's going on between Beth and Luis?
100%.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so I'm gonna give y'all this music. We haven't had it in a while, but I'm giving it to you. So, Diana. Oh my God, Diana, this stupid woman is test driving.
Diana Kirkpatrick.
That's such a good one.
I did not have that written down. I swear, I just popped in my head. So
You're
I was like, do I know any race car drivers?
Diana Kirkpatrick. That's so good. Okay. Yes, this woman is test driving Brian's car because she wanted to make sure that it was safe for Brian to drive, but she's not a professional driver. This was the dumbest. I railed.
It's so stupid. It's so stupid.
It's so stupid. And I'm not going to go
You're not
crazy.
a driver. You're not a mechanic. You know nothing. You can't even like be a waitress.
That's what I said last week. Listen, last week's episodes, I was like screaming about how stupid this is. She can't even walk and carry a tray at the same time. She needed to learn how to walk and carry a tray at the same time. You're telling me she can drive a car, let alone a race car, which is a stick shift? Those things are not manual. Those things are manual transmissions. Those things are not automatic transmissions. This lady cannot drive that car. But she is. But she
was driving it, testing it.
Yeah.
What?
Diana didn't care. She said, if you ain't first, you're last.
If you ain't first, you're last. Ricky Bobby.
And if it's not safe, so you die.
Then you die. Exactly.
Like you
exactly.
die. Like it makes no sense.
It's it is, I want to say, arguably the dumbest thing Passions has ever written. The dumbest thing they've ever put in one of these episodes. I was speechless when she put on the helmet and put on the whole thing and got in the car. I was like, what the fuck?
When I saw those opening shots and then I'm hearing that danger music, I was like,
I don't think I do.
Yeah, fast forward ×2, ×4. I don't want to see this.
I couldn't.
Yeah.
I wonder if they somehow got a contract to be on the track. Like Passions must have been able to get some sort of deal so that they could
on location,
like show the cars and stuff.
Waste their money.
Or maybe it was happening. Maybe the races were happening on that week. Like
maybe.
Either way, they had to spend money to be on location.
Is it during the summer?
I would. Maybe. I don't know. I don't watch it.
Either way, they had to spend money to be on location. Like, either way.
No offense to anybody who loves that.
They had to rent a car. Like, come on. A race car. This is ridiculous. It was...
Hey, what's the best way to... Sheridan must not know that red flags mean stop. Yeah, she ignores a lot of red flags, Brian.
Yes, she does.
Oh
Yes,
my
she
god,
does.
that's so funny. Oh, that is so
I
funny.
love that.
Yeah, yeah. So Brian, oh, God, I haven't gotten past my first note.
Because there's just so much. There's so much.
There's so little, and yet there's so much. Brian is on the racetrack waving a red flag to try to get Sheridan to stop. Now, what y'all don't know is that in last week's episodes, he's waving the flag. Sheridan sees him waving the flag and says, "Sorry, Brian, I can't stop until I know that this car is 100% safe." So she 100% knows that the red flag means stop.
Oh, okay.
Brian thinks she's a moron, right? So he's like, she must not know. Red flag means stop. Instead of being like, oh, she's just ignoring me, because that's exactly what she's doing.
Yeah.
And then he says, she must not know the red flag means stop. And if that's the case, I've only got one other option, and it could get us both killed. So he runs out onto the track in front of the car. I mean,
my notes like, run him over. It's your only chance.
It's your only chance.
I agreed with the bad guys, whatever their names are, the two idiots too. They were like, well, maybe he'll die. He'll die. Cool. Great.
Okay, when that whole thing is happening and the speedometer, anyone was getting flashbacks of speed.
Oh yeah,
50,
I was like,
stay above 50.
You know what?
Yeah.
I need Keanu Reeves to just come running out. You know,
I've only ever seen like clips of Speed. I've never seen that whole movie. all
you
the
need
way
to
through.
watch it. It's
I gave it a
good.
rewatch a while back.
I feel like it used to be on like TNT and USA
showed
all the time. And
All the time.
TBS. I like all
Yeah.
the time.
Yeah.
And I like would catch like the end of it, or like the first 30 minutes, like
Yeah.
the middle part or something like that. I've
Yeah.
never seen the whole thing.
No, it's good. Anthony Hopkins, Keanu Reeves, good.
I love
wasn't like
Keanu
Keanu Reeves like top notch acting performance, but he was good as an action actor. So.
That's my guy. I love Keanu Reeves. Baby, I love John Wick. I am a John Wick fanatic. Okay? I love those movies.
If they made
I've loved Keanu Reeves since Bill and Ted. Okay.
Oh,
I
really?
will tell you. Yes.
and Sandra Bullock.
That's my man.
I mean, listen, if they made a Speed 3, I'd go watch it real fast. Just like I went and saw Twisters first week.
Did you watch Speed 2? Because that was horrible.
Oh, it was horrible.
It was horrible.
Let's move this boat super fast.
Oh,
this
it was a
yacht looking thing. No.
Oh, I love
That was such
though.
yeah.
That was stupid. That was
I love bad movies.
They
I bet I would
presented the
love
script
that.
to Keanu, and he's like, "You can't do this on water." No.
Oh,
I'm
he
out.
passed?
I'm out.
He's not in it?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, he's not. Jason Patrick does it.
Who's Jason Patrick?
He was
What else is
in Lost Boys.
Oh, yeah.
Played Michael.
Let me see. Jason Patrick.
This is how
okay. I know
exciting
who
the
that is.
Sheridan and
Yeah, okay.
stuff is.
Yeah,
that
no, we're
we're-
talking about other things. Oh my god.
Sorry, yeah. Well, it's more interesting. Anyway.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. Keanu Reeves,
So,
Speed,
yeah.
all that, so much better.
Okay.
Latara,
but
give
he doesn't
give
know
the
red flag.
listeners the other plan.
The other plan, yes, he runs out onto the track and runs out in front of the car, hoping that she'll stop in time. Nick's like, if she hits Brian, then the car will explode. Why? What did you do to this car? What do you mean? What do you mean she hits a fleshy person and the car explodes?
And do you
thought it was
care
that-
if she hits him? He's dead anyway.
But I also thought like the plan was if it goes over a certain like speed, then
That's
it's
what
going
it was
to explode
definitely-
because
yeah.
like the engine will fail and like they sabotage it that way. Why would the car explode? Because she hit somebody, which would slow her down, by the way.
Maybe the bomb's that sensitive. I don't know.
It's not a bomb. That's the thing. There's no bomb.
Oh, it was just the car.
It's just that they sabotaged the car. So that was I hated that. That was so dumb. It's like if she hits Brian, then he'll die and she'll die because the car will explode.
I
Why
like that he
would
was
the
like,
car-
and then my plans messed up because I can't marry her.
Yeah, but of course she manages to stop before hitting him, and then she gets out of the car and argues with this man. And for the one time, this is going to be the one and only time I say this probably, I was on Brian's side. She's arguing with this man. He was like, "What are you doing? Why would you do that? I was so worried about you." She's like, "I had to do it because I need to make sure that this car was safe for you." Bitch, what? And he says, "What do you know about driving?" It's like, yeah, I was 100% on his side for this one. I was like,
Yeah.
this is the only time I'm gonna agree with Brian on anything, probably. But they very quickly make up and start making out on the track.
And in front of Liz.
Poor Liz.
They don't. Please, why even bring up Liz? She's not a factor to anybody, right? Like she shouldn't be there. Let's be clear. Liz should not be there. She needs to stand up, grow a backbone, and go back to her island and hire some better help. That's what she needs to do. And just
I hope Doc is okay.
I hope Doc is living his best life. Doc's on the beach somewhere, wondering why his towels haven't been changed. Wondering.
You know, when we're thinking about how come he doesn't know Theresa Crane has been put to death, I like to think that Doc made it into a paper hat and put it on to ward off aliens, like with foil and everything. And it's like just a picture of Theresa like sentenced to death
on the side.
On the side.
Yeah. So they're on the racetrack making up and making out in front of Liz. My very next note. My next note is the day of the race, Brian proposes to Diana. That's I didn't do any of the stuff.
My next note is ill. Sheridan and Brian are kissing at the hotel. Gross.
This is what I wrote. Brian out in middle of the road. Sheridan stops. Made love. Brian in car. That's it. That's what I have. Those are my notes. Sheridan racing. Car will explode. Brian out in middle of the road. Sheridan stops. Made love. Brian in car.
Brian in car.
I think I summarized.
Brian in car. So they do make love or whatever. He talks to her about taking her home to meet his mama, and then he says, like, right after the race, we're gonna go. And then the next day, it's the day of the race, and he says, you know what? I was gonna do this after the race, but actually, I want to do it now. He gets down on one knee. He proposes to her, to Diana. I believe she says yes. I don't know.
Yes, she says yes.
And then
he gives her like a nut or something as a ring because he didn't have a ring.
Gives her a nut.
I mean, he did that before he proposed.
Yeah, I was about to say.
It's all over her hand. And then oh my god, that's hilarious.
Wow.
He busts a nut on her, and then
this is the only way to get through this.
It's so funny. Yeah, he pulls like a washer, for a better word.
A better word.
Like, no, I liked nut. I like that. No, that was hilarious.
Nuts and bolts.
Like, something, and puts it on her hand like as a ring. Cause Liz, go home, baby. Go run your business. It is being run into the ground. Go run your business. Liz is like, oh, well, it's not official unless you give her a ring. It's not like, I don't think that's what she says. She says, well,
is that her way of holding out hope? Like, no ring.
She literally
So you're saying there's a chance.
Yeah.
No, she literally looks at Diana's hand and goes, well, I don't see a ring. It's not official until she has a ring on her finger. Oh my God, Liz. Because listen, let me tell you, anytime I see a man, the first thing that I find maybe attractive, the first thing I do is look at his hand and be like,
I still look for rings on
fingers. I said, no ring. No ring.
I still do
right?
that.
But so she's like, so there's a chance, but that's why he pulls the nut and puts the nut on her finger.
He liked it, so he put a nut on it.
So he put a nut on it.
Yeah, he put a nut on it.
So let's talk about what's going on with Luis and Beth in Harmony, because that's all that happens in Bermuda, I think. Or I don't even think they're in Bermuda anymore. They're in the States.
Oh,
I meant to say that.
Are they?
I said it last week. Yes. In last week's episodes, Brian, in passing, says to Diana, thank you for coming to the States with me. So they're in the U.S. somewhere for this race.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So, Luis and Beth. Let's talk about these two. Let's pick up after the wake. Okay.
Yeah.
Because Beth has been there with him the whole time throughout the execution, everything. And so they head back to Beth's house, and he takes her home. And she wants to like get him some food. She's like, I got some chili in the freezer. I can defrost for you. It's like, girl, this man, I'm sorry. I am being nitpicky. I know I'm being nitpicky, but if I had to just watch my sister be executed and then had to go see her body laid in state in the mansion where the people who put her to death basically stole her body. No, I do not want any of your fucking leftover chili. You can't even make me a fresh meal?
Well, when was she gonna have time to cook?
Right then. Or
Oh, you mean just make the meal from scratch as opposed to heating something? Okay.
as opposed to like,
I mean, it was gonna take a while to defrost too. That's what I was thinking. I was like, wait, it's in your freezer. That means you're gonna microwave
gonna take a long time to
food?
just defrost some old ass chili when you could just make him something new, something fresh. I don't know. Again,
or just order pizza or something. Have it delivered.
Luis says what the other thing that I thought was just like order food. Nobody should really be cooking after this, but he's like, well, I can go get Chinese from down the corner, and she's like, no, let me make you something. And he says, no, you've been so great. Let me do this. I'll go get us some Chinese food. He leaves, and you ready, Edna? Mrs. Wallace?
Oh, yes, I am. I'm so excited.
Because he leaves, Beth goes inside and immediately gets berated by her horrible mother.
Is this the first time we get to see Mrs. Wallace?
I figured y'all saw her last week.
Okay.
No, it's not going to take away any pleasure that I got. As soon as they were mentioning her, I'm like, they probably already introduced her. And then sure enough, when she showed up, I was like, there she is. I just want to highlight Kathleen. I think Kathleen Noon. She is an incredible actress, a longtime soap vet. So when we get her, and she's here for the foreseeable future, she has been on soaps or shows like Sunset Beach. She won her Daytime Emmy in 1987 for Best Supporting Actress in a Drama Series for All My Children. And so she is just a staple in the business and in soap opera land. Knots Landing. I used to watch Knots Landing with my mom. It is just a pleasure to see her. With that said, my introduction to her again now, to reintroduction, her first line is basically, well, that was the longest execution in the world.
Yeah, I cracked up.
She don't give a fuck. She's just like, where have you been, Bethy?
This lady is
wow, Eric, that was one of the best introductions to a new actor on the role that I've seen. That I almost feel a little sad that you had none of this for Eric Martov.
I should have. I was thinking about that as we started. Listen, this is the Ethan that I love, so I do want to give him his props. He is so good, and I'm so happy he's still working. I'm so happy that I saw him just recently on The Weakest Link with Luis. So I mentioned a while back, but he was in an episode of that with Jane Lynch. They were very funny together. It's clear that they really get along and that they're cool with each other. But he deserves his props as well. I really enjoy him as Ethan. And I think it's funny to see him ease into the role because it is difficult to kind of reconcile with years worth of storyline, and you're coming in and you're supposed to be in love with this or have feelings for this woman. I digress. But yes, very awesome additions to the cast, both of them. I'm happy that they're here. Yeah. But yes, that is such a funny, longest execution in the world.
Yeah.
All you ever do is pick fights with me, and they just go to town on each other.
It's really more Edna on Beth right now.
Yes.
Beth eventually does stand up to her. Beth does get that crazy look in her eye at a certain point. Like, she's like, take your pill, mother, and go to bed, mother. But before that happens, Edna alludes to Beth having done something to her.
And this is new information for me. I do not remember this at all. I don't remember this at all.
If they ever even talk about it, because Passions is really good about dropping storylines, we might not ever find out because I do not remember this.
I don't remember this at all because I have always had this, like, I am going to take care, like, in my head, I'm like, I get Beth went through some things because her mom is horrible. So I always had that, like, she's a product of what happened to her, but now they're both toxic because she talks about, like, I can stop Luis from loving you. And it's interesting. I wish they had more conversations together because I want to know what, after Luis left, what was going on in that world with them. Was Edna just being like, I knew he would figure out you were horrible, Bethy? I mean, like,
I do wonder what that was like the first time around when she and Luis broke up. I do wonder what that dynamic was like. I tend to believe because now Edna is like much older than she was then.
Yes.
So she relies on Beth, I think probably more than she did when Beth was younger, right?
And I'm assuming this injury that is alluded to happened after the breakup. So
right.
Yeah.
And so we talked about it last week because one of the things that Edna talks about is how she says, after all I've done for you, Beth, after everything I did for you, and, you know, I gave up my whole life for you, yada, 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 right? So I think that I know that their relationship has been toxic for a very long time. I imagine that Edna has never been a good mother to her at all. I imagine that she has done the bare minimum in, you know, giving her clothes and food and a shelter. But other than that, she definitely never gave her any love or affection, obviously, right? And so last week we kind of talked about that. And I said, let me tell you, this lady, especially the shit, she said so much horrible shit to Beth last week.
Yes.
And she said a lot of horrible stuff to her this week. But she said last week, she was like nasty, nasty. That lady would be a ward of the state. Do you hear me?
Yeah.
That lady would not be living with me. She wouldn't be. And I know people are like, well, that's your mother. That is a mother, but she ain't mine. You know what I mean? Like, no. Beth, actually, God bless Beth for this. Because I can tell you, based on the interactions we see between the two of them, that Edna was never a good mother to her. And it's not incumbent upon the child to make your relationship good with the parent, right?
No, and then as we find out more and more backstory, it's just very clear that Edna is an issue. I mean, with that said, when I say I love Edna, I love this actress.
As a character.
Oh yeah, the character is great. It's just like when I say I love Rebecca, I mean, like, I love these characters. Yeah. But she's obviously the problem. She is the issue.
We love a dynamic character. We love a villain. We love, we do. They're very dynamic. She is. They give something to push against, right? I love to watch a villain work and in a horrible. Yeah, she's horrible. But that's what we get to. That's where the meat is. That's what we get to talk about.
And it is fun to watch her in these early phases because I'm remembering cartoony Edna because she's gonna get wilder. It's just like Tabitha. Watching that clip of evil Tabitha is very different than watching Tabitha where she is right now and then where she ends in the series. It's the same thing with Edna. Right now I'm like, oh, she was just straight up mean. We're not cartoony Edna yet. I mean, there's sprinkles of her there, but it's just like Beth. I'm watching Beth evolve
slowly
fast.
Unwind. Yeah.
So
this Beth is very different from the first Beth that was in the book cafe.
Absolutely. So
long hair Beth versus short hair Beth.
Yeah, long hair don't care. Short hair cares too much.
Short hair, don't you dare.
Yeah, don't you dare. Yes, love that. Okay. So they're like arguing at home. Meanwhile, Luis has gone to get Chinese food, but he stops at I was gonna say liquor store. It's a jewelry store.
He probably needs that too.
He does need that. He stops at the jewelry store and looks at the window and contemplates like buying rings, right? Because he's thinking about proposing to Beth. Then he starts to think about Sheridan and how they walked past there one time, and he was like, "Wow, these rings are really beautiful." But Sheridan was like, "Well, I love the ring you gave me. To me, it's the most beautiful ring in the world. It's an heirloom from your grandmother." And
I want to say while you're saying that is that it is so nice to see Sheridan again. To see the acting, because the acting is so good, and we've never. I mean, that's not an argument. Mackenzie Westmore is a fantastic actress, but to see her get meat versus what she's having to do the doe-eyed Bambi thing over here, like to see Sheridan again, I was like, oh wow, that was refreshing.
Yeah. But I'm wondering, where's the ring?
Where is the ring?
It's exploded.
At the bottom of the ocean, I guess.
I mean, she didn't have not a mark on her when they pulled her out of the ocean, so
she didn't have the
fell
ring
off her finger. That would have been a clue to Brian, like, back off. She has someone.
Yeah. Where is the ring?
That poor grandmother's ring.
I know.
Poor grandmother's ring lost at sea. Unless it miraculously ends up on Alistair's desk.
It's with the rest of their things on the Titanic now. Okay,
that's true.
The bottom of the ocean.
With the heart of the ocean.
With the
heart of the ocean.
That
Sheridan went.
Oh my god. I still get upset thinking about that lady dropping
Me
that
too,
thing.
I do too.
That, like, what in the world? And they were looking for that the whole damn movie. Oh,
The
my
whole
Yeah.
You know
time.
what?
Don't watch the alternate ending; it'll piss you off even more.
I don't know anything
Yeah.
about it. I don't
It'll
want
piss
to.
you
No,
off
it
even
will.
more. It's worse.
Okay.
It will.
So
It's
I want to
worse.
say this. Luis stops by this jewelry store, right? He's looking in the window. He's looking at the window because he's contemplating proposing to Beth because he's saying he loves her, and doesn't want to lose her. And he's looking at these rings, but he's thinking about Sheridan. You're not ready. You're not ready to marry somebody else. If you look at engagement rings and your first thought is like how you and the person that you were once engaged to also looked at these rings, and like, I don't know, maybe I'm being a little too
But it's
harsh
it's-
about it,
it's-
but
no. But it's thematically on par with the whole. The whole week is that we have Whitney making some big choices after Theresa's passing. I think sometimes when somebody passes away, you sit there and are like, "What do I do now? Where do I go from here? I need to start living." Some people start thinking that way, and I think that's where Luis is at right now.
actually, you know what? Grief is crazy too.
Yeah, it
because,
is.
Like, I truly was like, I quit my job. I was done with everything, right? I just I just was like, I have to change my whole life. And then I don't know, 7-8 months later, I was like, what the fuck did I do? Right?
Yeah,
Like, I'm
I
like,
had the same
what
thing
did I do?
happen to me.
Why did I quit my job?
To find a better one.
You're right, though. I actually did. I actually did make the right decision, but it wasn't a rational decision. When I think back on it, like, I was not actually in the right headspace to be making those large, sweeping, life-changing decisions. But it did turn out to be the right decision, if that makes sense. But if I had it all to do again and without the grief and with more clarity, I probably would have gone about it very differently, right?
Yeah.
So I feel the same way about like Luis, and even to your point, Whitney, and what Whitney making these kind of choices while she's in the throes of grief, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, he looks at them. I guess he doesn't buy anything. He goes back to the house, and he doesn't bring back food, right? Did he get any food?
Yeah.
He
I don't
just
think
came
so,
right back.
no.
He ate
And
it
he
on the way.
sits Beth down and he
He
tells
ate it
her,
on the way. I mean, it was gonna be for him anyway.
yeah, that's true. He tells her that he wants to share something with her. He wants to talk about their future and what that looks like, and he proposes to her. He tells her that they need to start making plans for their future. He gives her a speech about not wanting to lose her the same way he lost Sheridan and Theresa. Again, this is not the proposal I would want, but as I have said about Beth before, Beth will take what she can get. And I think I made the comparison between Beth and Chad last week. And the comparison is this, that neither of them have ever had someone love them. Edna clearly does not love Beth, right? Chad has never had parents who love him. So the first time Whitney ever said that she loved him, even though she was saying it in a way that she like didn't want to be with him, he was overjoyed about it because he'll take any crumb because he's never experienced love. Beth is the same way. She'll take whatever she can get. This is, like I said, this is not a proposal that I would want. Why are you proposing to me and talking about Sheridan and Theresa? And Theresa just died. I don't want this. I don't want it. But Beth will take it because she's going to take what she can get. She's going to take those crumbs because she's never truly been loved.
Well, I also say Edna clocks this too. She knows this is like, I know she's just being mean, but she heard everything and is like,
Oh yeah,
this
she
is
was
not-
eavesdropping the whole time.
Yeah, she's like, this is not what you think it is.
Yeah. Well, because at one point, Luis says something. I lost it somewhere, but he says something about not wanting Sheridan's memory to like get in the way of them. And then Beth is like, how could your feelings for Sheridan interfere with our relationship right now? And he says, I'll always have some feelings for Sheridan, but right now you are the only. Right now, I see this. I don't like the phrasing. He says, I'll always have some feelings for Sheridan, but right now, you are the only woman in my life I'm totally committed to. I'm totally committed to you. Whatever feelings I have for Sheridan, I'm just going to put them away in a little lockbox. What is this?
Yeah.
I would not want this. That's your proposal? Yeah. This is your proposal? You're the only woman I'm committed to right now.
Yeah.
No, you're my forever. No. I want to be with you forever, for a lifetime. You're the only woman. You know, you're the
and that's probably what Edna is able to pick up, and why she's being mean to her daughter, because it's like, wake up. He doesn't love you.
Well, and she does have a retort, basically, that specifically to that line. So a couple things. First of all, prior to Luis's arrival, she says something like, "You're older, Bethy. You're not a pretty little thing anymore. He will never love you. He will never love you. You're gonna spend your life as a spinster, pining away for Luis." She hasn't gotten this much character work in her voice yet, but it's kind of
great. It's great.
Thank you. She mentions also that she says, "Don't forget that I can tell him that you're the reason I have this walker." So that is new information for me. I do not remember that at all. And to me, it's very similar to, like, in the Golden Girls, they say Sophia had a stroke that rendered the part of her brain that stops her from censoring herself. They never bring it up again in 7 seasons of the Golden Girls.
It never comes up again. They say it that one time, but then, you know, it's like,
it's just part of her essence of Sophia. She just says what's on her mind. This, to me, is something that I never remember them bringing back again, is that Beth was basically abusive towards Edna. And made her, because she says she had to walk around with this contraption. So after the proposal, Edna brings back that point. She's like, "He said that he's locking things away, and there is a key, Bethy, and I'll find that key and give it to him so he'll never forget Sheridan." So it's like, already, it's just like, that's a lot of character stuff in a few episodes for her to be like, why
if
is
anyone was going to be competed with a ghost, it's gonna be Beth.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about what happens, like, right after that proposal, right? Because Edna is listening, she's eavesdropping, and she has vowed in her room to herself, she's like, I will never let this wedding happen. I'm never gonna let it happen. And so she comes out and she puts a real damper on things, literally. Yeah. She's like, she tells Beth that her bedpan is full. It tipped over. Her nightgown is soaked, and she needs help, like, changing out the bedpan and changing out of her soaking wet gown. And Beth's like, "Well, in a moment, Mother, but I want to tell you the good news. Luis proposed." Edna ignores it flat out. She says, "Maybe you didn't hear me. My gown is soaked." Oh my God, this lady. And Luis turns to Beth and he's like, "It's okay. This is one of the reasons I love you, because you take such good care of your mother."
Oh my God.
So now it's like she doesn't have the option to put the lady away because Luis will probably have an issue with it. But who is he to have an issue with it? Your mom's super nice. Mine is not.
Yeah.
I don't have a Pilar at home. If I had a Pilar at home, I would be taking excellent care of her, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, truthfully, Beth is taking good care of Edna. Edna's fine.
Oh yeah.
Edna is fine. So I mean, I don't know what she did. Again, like you said, I don't know what she did to cause that. But Edna also, like, overblows a lot of things.
Yes,
so it's very possible that she was the aggressor in the situation and just got overpowered by Beth, right? Like, and she is spinning it as like Beth is the reason that she did, but you were fighting with her. So you came to me with the bullshit and I gave it back to you, and now you have a walker, and that's all I'm gonna say about it. Right. So anyway, she comes out, she puts a whole damper on the whole thing, and then Luis is like, "No, you need to take care of your mom," and he leaves. Beth is upset. She's like, "You ruined the most special night, and you ruined it on purpose, Mother." And she says, "I won't let you ruin this for me, Mother. I finally have what I've always wanted. Luis loves me. He wants to marry me, and we're back together." And she says, we're back to where we were 10 years ago, and nothing is going to stop us, not even you. And that this is when Edna says, well, I don't have to stop him because he'll come to his senses. My God, she's horrible.
Yeah.
Oh
He'll
yeah.
come to his senses. And Beth says, no, she says to Edna, he's like, you're the one who said that the memory of Sheridan would break us up and come between us, but Luis told me that he's going to put his feelings in a lockbox. And that's when she says the line about, well, lockboxes have a key and I will find that key. Yeah, she's vowed to like make sure that they never get married ever. So horrible lady. And then she goes down on her knees. Did you write this? She says, I'm gonna pray.
Oh, I'm gonna pray.
Oh, Betty. Well, I just know that. I just know that's like
I'm
part
gonna
of her
pray.
character.
I'm gonna pray that you never get him. I'm gonna pray that Sheridan comes back to life. And then she goes down on her knees and she says, Heavenly Father, I can't do it as good as you, so I feel very uncomfortable doing it. Hear my prayer. Please bring Sheridan Crane back to life. Please give her the power to come back to life and save Louise from my daughter. Please. Like, she's on her knees praying to God for her own daughter. She's literally praying on her own daughter's downfall.
It's so sad.
Yeah. Yeah. An angel girl shows up and says, done. She's alive.
Yeah, it's the one thing she can do. The one she's like, actually, this time I can intervene. This is the one time I can do something.
I'm not actually doing anything because she actually been back forever. And it was actually Timmy that did that because he made a wish.
That's
a Christmas miracle wish.
That's actually true. That's true. Timmy did that. So that's all I have. Do y'all have anything to add?
No, this was fun.
No, this was a good one.
It was
I actually want to like go off and like start watching next week's.
Do it.
I want to know what happens.
You're on next week, right?
Yes.
Yeah, you're on again next week. That's fine by me.
Good.
Eric, you want to come back next week? You can't.
Let me look at my schedule. If I can make it happen, I will.
Okay,
I love
let
being
me
with
know.
y'all.
And I have to email Shane.
combo.
There's one other person. Shane's going to be on, but we could do a 4-person panel. And that would be nice. All right. So that's it. Where can the people find you, Eric?
I'm at Mr. Eric Vetta on everything.
All right. And where can the people find you, Maria?
You could email me at gwenfan329@aol.com or find me on Discord, and this is where I'll plug in. You can join and get merchandise. You can get cups, t-shirts. Come on.
Yeah. Come on and do it. All right. And you can find me on the Patreon. So with that, you are my passion for life.